This is the first episode of Hot Take Point Made for 2024 because two things. One, sometimes in the holidays, not every show gets done. People have different priorities. And then two, I don't know if you noticed this. You probably didn't because luckily the CS community wouldn't be petty enough to make this like a massive deal on front page news every day of the year. But believe it or not, kassad's actually been sort of like coaching a team recently and trying to get them into the RMI. Again, you probably haven't heard about it. I mean, you know, at the end of the day, just so that we're sure everyone understands where we are in esports. If kassad can't get into an RMR with Laux, then that makes him worse than Huxley for never doing anything at a major with Nico Monacy. I hope, as long as you understand that's a totally one-for-one, oranges to oranges or apples to apples comparison, then it's cool. We're safe. There's no problem. And basically, as far as I can tell, it's actually even worse. You guys haven't even played it up enough. Think about it. I mean, Huxley won IM Cologne. You know, kassad and Laux have never won anything together so far. So, like, actually, Huxley's way up here, if anything. And kassad's down. Exactly. It's just garbage, isn't it? Like, in fact, you know what? I think it's so unfair. The only way we can rectify this to make it an even playing ground is I think Huxley, the god IGL, should take Laux. And I think kassad should get Nico Monacy. I think then probably Huxley will win IM Cologne still. And probably kassad still won't even get in the RMR because it's just a representative of who we are. No, obviously, that is just playful banter. We're back with Maui and kassad. And what we're going to do this time, because we promised it so many other times, but we're actually going to do it for real. Maybe somewhat fitting, because we only ran the show roughly about a year. I think it started at the end of 2022, if people remember. Is we're actually going to do the much promised review of the hot takes. Now, spoiler, some of the hot takes don't actually have a conclusion. Like some of them we actually did do. Like, I mean, one of them was like at the end of 2025 or something mental. So some of them haven't had time to mature yet, but a bunch of them have. So what we'll do is we'll run through them. And if there's nothing to say on them, there's nothing to say on them. It's all good. But some of them, if there's anything funny, we'll review. We'll give some back and forth. And after that, we'll do some fresh hot takes. So here we go. The first episode was on the 12th of December, 2022. And it began... Ooh, this is an interesting starter point. Are you ready? Because the first hot take was Mauisnake saying that Simple may not be the GOAT after 2023. So, okay, interesting. That's it. Here's the thing. The problem is that sounds sexier when I first say it, but the key thing is on that one, how do we assess this one? Because here's the thing. In a way, I guess there are some people saying Ziwoo's the GOAT or whatever. Or if we make it more GOAT, like to be fair at the time, we didn't know there was a CS2 coming out. So if we thought it was going to be CSGO still, if this was still CSGO, Ziwoo would be in prime position to potentially still become the GOAT. So how would you assess your own one on that one initially? What would you say? Would you give yourself the pass on that one? What would you do?
Well, there's two things there, because I made another take about Simple actually a month or two later from that one that I'll get to in a second.
Yeah.
First, I'll assess that take itself. I remember the reason that I made that take was because I was saying if Device has an insane 2023, he could find some semblance of accolades that could potentially push him over the line.
Right.
That didn't happen.
Okay.
He did not. Device didn't have that good of a 2020.
Yes.
He had a good 2023 to be fair, but he didn't have a transcendent 2023. And Device right now, I'd say, is still firmly behind him. I think there's a couple people that might say something along the lines of like, yeah, Zywoo's catching up, but I don't really. I'll say this. If anybody tells me right now to my face, Zywoo is the GOAT of Counter-Strike and Simple isn't, I would just laugh in their face. I still don't. I don't believe that right now. But the second part, which I don't know if you have this take ready to go in the future or like from later episodes, is that I said
no. We'll get to that one. We'll get to that one.
Okay.
Listen, mate. There's 1 million of these takes to do, so we've got to just go through them all. Kassad, any comments on that?
Yeah, I mean, I do agree kind of with you maybe a little bit. Maybe I was just overthinking stuff. But the thing is, like, if somebody said to me that Zywoo is the GOAT of CSGO, I would say no. Is he as equally good as Simple? Yes. Is he maybe even better? Well, you can argue that. But there is not just enough years for him to kind of swap spots with Simple, right? There's not enough years because he was like, 3 years, 4 years, one of them being online, the playoff major runs, whatever it was. Like, there is a lot of things that you need to consider. Like 2 more years being on the number one spot, yeah, I mean, you can say GOAT, done. But right now with 3 years and all these things, no, Simple still number one, 100%.
Luckily for this one, I've got a very fast answer, which goes like this. Look, I don't actually think other people's opinions, like a consensus, determines who the GOAT is, because, spoiler, people could be idiots. But I will say it's a pretty bad omen for your case if you want Ziwoo to be the GOAT, that the following people don't consider him the GOAT. Zonic, right after he'd won the major with him. Apex, right after he'd won the major with him. Fucking, the joke is like, I don't even think Zimu would actually say I'm the GOAT. So like, even though that doesn't make the case, I'm just going to say, if they're all not thinking it, you know, you could be the one iconoclast if you like. Essentially, you can be Snappy if you like, but, you know, there's only one of those. So next take was Kassad's. And this is actually an interesting one because so far, look, we've only had just over a year, but so far it's looking good. He said Vertigo will stay in the map pool for 3 years. Doesn't look like it's getting removed yet, mate. Probably
it's not
right.
going anywhere. Like, we have bigger problems right now than Vertigo. Like, look at Anubis. Anubis, you cannot play it as a CT. There's nothing you can do. Like, it's so boring and annoying to play. When they start executing against you, there's nothing you can do. So that's the map that needs to be fixed. Overpass is long overdue. Like, there is nothing happening on Overpass that was new. Everything is the same. All the defaults are the same. Meta has changed a little bit towards connector doors, but nothing more. And that's all, right? Vertigo is still a different type of map, maybe similar to Anubis, just a little less, I guess, because you cannot like develop a proper default. You can go A default or B default, right? And it's always come down to some sort of a ramp fight. On Anubis is a little bit different because you can fight down waters, you can fight middle, you can fight for A main, you can fight for like different things. But Vertigo is still like the same, different concept of the map, right? Than all the others. So it's just insta brawling. I don't think it's going anywhere. I shouldn't be going anywhere for at least, you know, year and a half, 2 years to make it like fully, you know, what did I say, 3 years? So yeah, we're 1 year in, so still going good.
Okay.
There's
go on.
There's those rumors that Train is being worked on right now, and if I have to look at all the maps in the pool, I would say that for me, I think Vertigo is the one that. Well, this is also personal, but I would be the first to remove Vertigo of all the maps for Train. I think that would be a great swap. It could be a different one, but in terms of facelifts that a few of the maps got, I feel like Inferno's probably not going to get touched just because it's just like for whatever reason when Valve changes how a map looks or feels or gets a reskin, that seems to be enough to keep it in the pool for a while. And so maps like that would actually be Inferno and Overpass. I feel like they changed those enough that they would want to keep them in for a while just because it's like, hey, we worked on these. We want to just, we don't want to just swap them out after a single map cycle or a single major cycle. So to me, actually, I think there's a chance it still actually is the next one removed if Train does come in after the PGL Copenhagen Major.
By the way, so far, this isn't a critique of what we're doing so far, but I just want to make sure everyone keeps this one thing in mind. There are about like fucking 80 takes, so let's make it mainly assessing how good the take was, or if it was right or it's going to come right, not reiterating the points of the fucking take, because that will be the episode couldn't even run just doing that. So it's okay that no one's blown it so far, but just keep that in mind, because there are going to be some that aren't even that interesting. So we just give them a yes, no, move on from that. The good ones, though, do it. So the next one is one of mine, and this one's actually a quick one, because remember, this was in December 2022. At the time, it was obviously rumoured that Hunden was going to join Astralis, wasn't it? And my take was Hunden will be a good coach in Astralis. Now, I feel like that's one where it might be what we call in Blackjack a push, because he obviously got removed pretty quickly as coach, didn't he? So, like, I don't really feel like he got a chance as a coach. And also, I'll just say this, like, the joke is, if he would be hired again tomorrow, I would double down on that take. I actually think the stupidest thing about that drama was it was just about the fact people don't like him and that he's being shady. As far as I can tell, nothing about his game knowledge was ever affected by this thing with Tessus and all the stuff with Nico. Like, I actually still believe that take. I actually still think he could have been a good coach. I mean, the joke right now is, does anyone even know who their coach is? Of course we don't. It's fucking jokers in it. They've had some weird coaches the last few years. So I think that one's just a push. I don't think there's a plus or minus on that one. Here's a more interesting one. So this was a Maui one. Technically, it's hard to say if this was bad or not, but I think it's an appropriate one for Kassad here, because Maui's take was that Henry G revealing salaries was a good thing. Now, you've obviously you were with Henry when he did it, but it feels like you agree because you're trying to do the same thing with Bleed, right? Be transparent.
Yeah, being transparent is one thing, but revealing salary is another thing. Like, there is a limit to what you can say and what you cannot say.
Okay.
I don't think the salaries are the way to go, at least not yet. I think it creates a different kind of vibe to the whole thing between the players, between the orgs, between the market, and it's just terrible. We saw what happened to, how much they were paid. It's just fucking ridiculous. But like, being transparent in how you do things is important. I think the fans love it, and I think I'm gonna keep doing it as long as I feel like it's necessary.
Yeah. So I think that was a pretty legit one. Although the only problem with that one is like that's not really one of the ones that's going to be like true or false, just a good opinion in it. So then Kassad had one. This is right. I'll just throw this out there. What I'll do is just say some of the takes, then we'll see who picks up what. So Kassad's take was complexity should fire their whole team. By the way, you notice that isn't it. Even though it was episode 1, the real Kassad was here the whole time. That was a fully on brand take. Not just fire one player, just fire the whole team.
I mean, I still stand by it, right?
Of course. I get what you mean, sure.
They had good Sydney, yeah? They did, right? That's the grand finals. But that was with the Legion, and I don't even know who else, but was it the same 4 players, or just instead of Fang was a Legion? I can't even remember.
Yeah, I think it was just a Legion turned out. Yeah, it was Fang for
one.
Yeah.
So, yeah, but what after that? Like, what happens after? The thing is, like, you have to justify, all these teams, they need to justify the partnership spots they are taking from other teams that are good. Like, if you justify that with constant results, I'm gonna say, like, I was wrong. They should not have fired them. But if you have one final in 45 years of playing in a completely new game, then what the fuck are you doing? That's the whole point, right? But if they produce something in Katowice, that's fine. Maybe I change my mind, but no, I still stand by it.
Okay. Any thoughts on that one, Mo? If not, what we'll do is everyone will jump in if they have a thought. We'll do it like that, shall we? Do you have any thought on this one?
It's complexity, and it needs to show something because it kind of feels fluky that the very first event in CS2 is the only one that they had moderate success in. So I want to see more consistently. And I say this, them being my like personal bias favorite team.
Now, then I had a take, and I'll tell you what, I am known to toot my own horn, unlike those rumors you might have heard behind the scenes. I said Cadian would never win a major as a primary AWPer. Now, technically, I can't remember if I said CSGO. The problem with this one, remember, is because we didn't know about CS2, it sort of like changed the framing. I obviously, in theory, assumed CSGO was continuing. Like, that one technically hasn't ended. Like, if we count CS2 as well, he obviously could do it. But first of all, he isn't going to be at this current major, potentially. So there's a good one. And then secondly, did he win any majors since then, guys? He did not, in fact, win a major.
The thing is, like, I will agree with that one, 100%. Because it fits into one of my today's takes that I have. I'm going to say it later. Okay. But, like, yeah, 100% you were on that. Okay. I think you can sign off on that one.
Yeah.
And not going to happen.
As I said, technically it could still be on running. So you could probably... it's looking good so far, put it that way. Then the last hot take of that episode was actually a very spicy one for today, because even though it's totally irrelevant, at the time, you have to remember this was the end of 2022, Maui's take at that time was that Axile was the best rifler that year. Now, the reason I bring that up as spicy now is, like, obviously today's game doesn't change what happened in 2022, but that just kind of shows how far he's fallen, Maui. That's actually probably, people probably would think that's an edgy take now. In 2022, that's not that edgy a take. Look, it's slightly edgy. He's Cloud9 still at the top team, but he was mega that year, right?
At the time, it was just between, for me, him and Nico. I think we want revisionist history would make us think like, oh, wasn't Rops good back then? He wasn't as good as Axile.
No, he wasn't.
Factually, he just wasn't as good right then. So, and I think Nico and Axile had very different roles. I think that that's a take that in some ways you could justify it based off of positioning. I think Kassad's counter in that one was something like, you know, Nico's doing more or whatever, but that's kind of like based off of how you see the game and how you want to structure your thoughts.
It's funny how he said, like, based on, like, he does more or whatever. It's like nothing, right? It's like Nico doesn't change the game completely or the angle. It's like, or whatever. But yeah, he was pretty good. Like, he was one of the top 3 riflers. I don't say the best, but top 3 definitely. 2022 now he's just substandard.
Yeah, basically Maui on that one was like the Embiid fan who's like, yeah, okay.
Oh,
you know, maybe Jokic does a few other things than scoring. By other things, he means like defend, pass, like fraudulent. He does a few other things, I guess. But,
organizes the game completely.
What's the big deal?
Or whatever, like, just...
I like that. All right, here we go then. So then we were on to episode 2. Episode 2 was actually the second, obviously it was also at the end of December 20, it was the 22nd December 2022. The first take on that one, I mean, this is actually obviously incredible now, but unintentionally. It was Kassad said, Na'Vi is not the best CIS team anymore. Well, that definitely correct now, but at the time, possibly too edgy. Possibly too edgy. Was that too edgy? Wasn't Na'Vi still the best CIS team then? Weren't they?
I don't think so.
VP it was them, or would it be Gambit?
I guess there was, or the VP team had won the major. VP had won the major. There was obviously Gambit, Cloud9.
Oh,
yeah. I mean, Spirit was Well, it wasn't. Sorry, but the thing is, like VP Gambit, like there was like
it was close. I'll give you that. It was close. Put it this way: that if you just say that sentence out loud, everyone in their brain goes, "Well, Navi's always supposed to be number one." So from that perspective, I think you were closer than you weren't, if you know what I mean. I don't know if it was a firm one. It's not.
You know what's funny? You know what's funny now? The thing is, like, while we're discussing this, Navi is the highest ranked, team of all the CS teams right now.
But they're international now, though, mate.
I don't really consider them Eastern European.
That doesn't count anymore now. Exactly. So I think for that one, put it this way, I'll give you a passing grade. You get a C on that one. You don't get an
A. Wait. So Ime and Alexi are like from Romania and Finland, and then we have like the core of Wonderful, Bit, and JL, who is from Lithuania. So they're technically still a CIS team. So I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh,
I mean, first of all, Ukraine isn't in CIS anymore, as everyone who ever had Twitter and dared to say CIS in the last 2 years knows. And secondly, I don't really know what Finland would have to do with that. Listen, unless you want to go back in time and change the results of a certain war in about 8 years ago, I don't think they're actually part of CIS, believe it or not, Kassad. But okay, it was a nice try. It was a nice attempt to lawyer it. I'll give you that. Right,
wow.
Then Maui.
Any political thing.
No, listen, boys, because then Maui done fucked up. Because look, to be fair, we've all done this take in a different version on the show, but we're going to highlight Maui here and how silly he was. Because how dare Maui have the take that FaZe should look to replace Rain? Oh, you piece of shit, man! You don't even respect like legends and that, mate. Because here's the sad thing: we actually have collectively all done that take about millions. Every take of FaZe should change for this player. Rain was always the one we all picked. So to be fair, we have all said that one. The real problem with that topic is this: he just is a mega player at the big stage game. So the problem is, even though he actually is not that often having the big pop off, he has it at the best possible time for like the fan to remember. So I don't know that one, because the problem with that one is like, I think we have to sort of say you failed that one, Maui. Even though I personally would have said the same thing. The problem is, because they're still really good with him, I guess probably they shouldn't. The problem with that is, again, is it really, should is the operative word there, right? It's not like, they're going to fail because they've kept him. So what do you think, Kassad? You'll be the neutral judge on this one. Was that, what would you give that one? Was that a good one?
How dare you say somebody who fans like you can say that they get replaced? How fucking dare you? It's just you are just a piece of shit. Honestly, I think you should leave the stage. Yes. What was the fucking thing?
Yeah, you don't belong here.
You should play. You should play.
There you go.
Rain should be celebrated. Rain should be celebrated.
You're just shitting on them all day long. Fucking hell.
No, the truth
is too good. I know.
I mean, it has to be done. It has to be done. The thing is, like with Train, I'm still with Maui. I think they should replace Train. I mean, there is so much talent in all the regions right now coming into CS2. Why don't you lock somebody down? Rain has done his job. Yeah, he's a mega player on stages. He's the major MVP. He won the major. He won the millions of matches, right? But you again look forward. Like, look, somebody else is gonna lock down a player that you needed to lock down, and then you're gonna end up paying the price down the road. Yes. So why don't you just take the cut now and get somebody early? I mean, I do agree with Mario on that one. Let's not drag it.
Right, here's what we're going to do. I'm going to make an executive. We'll do this review part in 2 parts. So we'll do half, and then we'll do some takes. Then we'll do the next half on the next one. That way, it's not all one only. Because I think no one wants to watch only the takes, but at the same time, we want to do a bit of both, right? So on that one, I'll also just throw this out there. What I do think is unfair about how people will judge that take, Maui, is you do notice, just like the Katowice one, they never come at your head when you make the take. They wait until Rain wins the tournament and then come at your head. So spoiler, that means you guys didn't think it either until 1 second before. Because I do think the original one, where it was like JKS for Rain. Joke is that was Reddit who said that take, but they now just pretend it was like only me or something. So there's a good one. Then I had a take. I can't lie. This one's also, I mean, whether it was right or wrong, it just seems mad in the context of like the light of day now. So what's good actually I like about some of these takes is you have to get yourself in the headspace of like reverse engineer. Like, how could I even think that? So you ready? This was an actual take. Remember guys, 22nd of December, 2022. My take was Heroic should sign config and keeps down. Which is, I have to even remember what keeps down. I meant like he doesn't replace him as the star player, Like, obviously they don't play the same role. I think it was the notion that like at the time, as bizarre as this is, actually people did think, because Stan was like choking, like, I should kick him. But my logic was sort of, you want both, don't you? If anything, the point of that one was the idea that your config is just a press W guy, and then it takes some of the pressure off Stan. On that one though, it sounds weird obviously now, because like, the Rogue doesn't even have any of these players anymore. I don't actually know that. I feel like that's one where I don't even know if these ones should count as like ones you can evaluate. Like that's just an opinion at the time, isn't it? Like it's not really any way to say if it's right or wrong. Here's a funnier one though, because this is the interesting one. Then Kassad came with one of his This is an on-brand hot take. Maui, you're going to be the initial judge of this. Are you ready? His take was that Blast winning the world final would harm Nico's legacy. I love it. I absolutely love how mad that is. I know, it's so good, isn't it? It's so good. Because I think his logic was, it would make them keep Huxley and then go. I think it was that idea, trap him into the team or something. Yes.
Yeah. I mean, if that's the idea behind it, I mean, obviously they went on to win Katowice and Cologne on top of that, and that has made Nico's career, and it has really transformed in terms of the accolades that he's found.
It's crazy how that was his most successul year.
It is, isn't it?
When it comes to the tournaments, but like the point still the same. Like he was trapped in that team, and he could have gone somewhere else and had better odds in winning what actually matters. Like all these people that are saying, Zaibu won the major, Nico didn't. That's what I'm saying, right? Simple as well. Like
sure.
If he went there, and probably the higher odds would be for him to win the major instead of what they did in the last whatever.
Here's the problem, kassad. I feel like this might be another one where maybe you just get the passing grade. Because here's the one. If you look at the perspective of Nico needed to win the major, well, then obviously they didn't do that. If that meant keeping Huxley stopped him doing that, you'd be right. At the same time, though, I also agree with Maui. You did win Katowice and Cologne, like two of the main prestige events, and you did it both in the same year. So I think part right, part wrong for that one. Then we will go to, this was Maui's. I mean, again, I don't think this is actually one. We'll just brass over this one quickly. It was just that the Blast World Final should end with a best of 5. I think it's just a good take. I don't know how that would be wrong or right. It's just a fucking take in it. So then we go to this one. I mean, technically, it's just if you disagree with this now. But then I had the take that year's number one, so it was Simple that year, if you remember, was the worst one since 2014, like Get Right or something, all the way back. Because that was the one, if you remember, where Simple won, but he sort of just coasted the last part of the year, and it was mainly the strength of the first part. So it just meant that, if you remember, we were I actually did think that was whack. It's like we gave the number one player of the year, even though we were sort of giving it to him when he was in his worst form. It just feels whack to do it that way, doesn't it? It's kind of a bit weird. So,
but there was nobody else to give it to, yeah?
Yes, that's the problem. At the time, it was a bit like the Z1 this time. They were definitely going to win no matter what. Number 2 was just wasn't ever going to win, were they, in that one?
Yeah.
Then the other one, this is another one that's not really to be evaluated. Then I just had the one where I said I didn't think Ziwa was number 1 in 2020. Again, nothing changed on that one.
I feel like that's true.
So yeah, some of these ones actually don't really have takes. Come to think of it. Similar one, Maui said Jame was the second best IGL of 2022. I don't think anything's changed on that one. I think it's a fair comment if you consider they won the fucking major with rookies and I think that's a pretty legit one. Here's a good one. Here's a good one, though. Thorin back on his hating on AWP as he thinks they're overrated angle. Thorin said that Team Liquid would never win a Tier 1 LAN with Aussie as their primary AWPer. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I put it to the jury that I think we all know. I think even Team Liquid agreed with that one, boys, because they don't have Aussie in their team anymore.
It's funny how he pulls out all the takes where he's like, we get the passing grade, or it's like a plus and minus. He pulls out his almost successful take. He's like, you see, guys, you see this? Just keep going.
Okay.
Just gotta hype himself up.
Okay.
Even referring to himself in third person when he introduces
I know.
said this.
That Thorin guy, he knows what he's talking about.
This guy. All
right. Well, here's the thing, kassad. I'm glad you actually teed me up there, because then we went to episode 3 on the 3rd of January, where you had the blistering take that Vitality should replace Apex with Mezzi as the IGL. Now, all I'm going to say, kassad, is they did win that next major and a lot of other events. And wasn't he even in-game leader of the year or something like that? I think he might even have been was he actually in-game leader of the year at the Hitchell TV thing? Did he get it?
I think so.
I think
he was. Yeah, I think it was.
So I'll let you actually, kassad, do you defend this take now? Would you even say, was it wrong? Was this one wrong? Is this one allowed to be wrong?
I wouldn't say it's a passing grade, but I wouldn't say it's the worst take. I think maybe we would put a down thumb down for this one. I think that maybe I was wrong. I would say totally generally technically yes. When you say it like that, fuck, I'll own it.
Oh no, sure. Okay.
I'll own it. I'm not gonna try to fucking weasel this one out. But Messi still ended up in Vitality.
I know.
That's so funny. That is so funny.
So just give me something.
Okay. I feel like I don't think you passed that one personally. Come on, mate. You won the fucking major. That's the last ever CS:GO major.
You can't have it both ways, Duncan. You can't have it both ways. Okay. You keep saying about their major playoff run against Into the Breach, Apex, Gamer Legion, and now you're just praising their major. So pick one or the other. Is it good or bad that they won the major?
Okay.
Just,
Right, then we went on. By the way, I just love how that's actually one of our first that we've had so far that is actually really bad in the light of day. But okay, then we go into this next one. I actually think, again, this might be a quick one, which was Maui just thought that Imperial was actually harming the Brazilian scene. I think he just nailed that one, mate. I mean, it's obviously totally subjective, but
they did.
Yeah, I mean, the real joke is this one. If you want to get super edgy, fuck it, I'll do it. They actually incredibly harmed the Brazilian scene because they tricked the best Brazilian team into paying $700,000 for fall. By the way, this is where I actually knew, I already knew it all along, obviously, that y'all are just absolutely on that fucking jenkum when it comes to Fallen. Because holy shit, when I said he's the most overrated player of all time, guys, he cost more than fucking Monacy, and nobody cares that his team is coming last place in tournaments like play-ins. Like, could you even, by the way, keep that same energy you have for Fallen, who cost $700,000, when you could see kassad, whose whole team probably cost $700,000. Like, give me a break. Like, this is outrageous. I still think that's a mad one. Like, even though, look, that was more just to rant on Fallen. I think that's a good one.
The thing is, like, if they did like a brand-wise purchase, right? Like, for example, Cristiano Ronaldo going to Saudi Arabia, they're paying all that money, doing that shit so they can sell the jerseys and all this stuff. Yes. I get it. But if you brought him as a, if
you thought he was actually going to do the business in the server, you mean?
Yeah. Then it's a problem. But the problem with all Brazilian teams, they have these ridiculous buyouts. On the players,
they do.
They're paying like 2.5K a month. And they just set this buyout for 600K and expect people to take it. Now, that's one of my other takes that I'm going to have for today, for the player market value and the garbage that's happening right now.
I had a take for today that's so relevant to this, but for you.
Okay. All right, let's go.
Okay. So then we had the take from me that said, well, look, this, you know what? I'll even preempt you. Thorin might have been wrong on this one. Are you ready? Because I said that 2022 vitality implied, remember that was the one where they'd only just gotten Spinks and even then he wasn't like in top form every event. It implied that we overrated Zonic. Now, one, I've since done a reflection with Zonic, and suddenly he's gone up in my... No, that's a joke. But he has won the major since then with an international team. So,
again, he tries to weasel out. Like
I'm actually giving... I'm saying I'm wrong on that one. I'm saying, actually, I think that he did prove me wrong on that, didn't he? Like, I think actually he was the shit.
But you said we. You didn't say you
said
we.
We. Oh, we. Okay. It's the collective we,
When he started, when he started picking the take, I was getting ready to post the meme. Obama putting another medal on Obama.
Yes, giving himself the medal. Yeah. Sure.
Okay. I was ready to post that, but the thing is, like, it's on you. That's what you need to take this one.
No, I'll take that one on the chin. It's all good. Yeah.
And he is the goat. Whatever you want to say.
Because are you ready? The reason why I love that I'm willing to accept I'm wrong on that one is just like I said earlier, guys. Are you ready for the next take? Then kassad had the take. FaZe needs to remove Rain. I wonder how many at the end, someone keep track after the 2 episodes, how many times that was the take. Like every 3 months.
I just can't stand this guy. We need him off the team no matter
what. The worst thing is now, luckily Rain doesn't watch this content, because otherwise it'd be really awkward if we ever met him again. Like, hello Rain, how you doing? Like, great event. And he's like, you piece of shit, you all want me kicked every 3 months. Like, sorry.
I told him.
Oh, really?
Okay, fair play. I told him in Cologne last year, like, listen, we always say you need to be kicked.
Oh, fair enough, okay.
It's what it is. I don't care.
Yeah.
People
he can handle it as well. Look, don't worry, guys. He has insane.
I talked to him about this at Abu Dhabi also, actually.
Yeah, he's like, he's the person who doesn't give a fuck. He's not going to be hating you for it.
He doesn't.
He's a good guy. He's a good guy.
Right, here's the one that's interesting, because now we actually potentially can judge this one. So, kassad, get ready to Maui take. Maui's take was that electronics individual level would improve in 2023. Did it? Would you say it improved? It's up to you. What would you say?
No, it didn't improve at all.
You don't think so?
No, I don't think so. I think who Electronic was before and how he.
He never got to that level. You mean? Sure.
Yeah, he started in Flipside. He played like an absolute, superstar.
Well, the joke is he was like Duncan before Duncan. He was a monster. Yeah, of course.
And when he was the IGL, his performance dropped. But when he switched back to being like a player, you expect him to go back on his like carry form. Doesn't have to be simple carry or Zyvo carry, but carry form, right?
Yes.
And he's not there. I don't think he's there.
Okay.
Maybe the priorities in his life changed. I don't know. I don't give a fuck.
Well, he was calling. He was calling for one. I mean, he started
calling now.
No. Once he stopped calling, at least for the most recent iteration.
Well, at least for like 4 years.
Yeah.
How much time do you need to give him?
Oh, he's better. He's better right now. He's definitely better right now.
Than
Like,
who? Me? Yeah, he's better than me or Hooks.
He's better than him. His
he's
2020. I think
Come on, man.
the take was the 2023 was better than 2022,
All
which
right,
he was a little
okay.
bit barely better than. And then 2024 so far, he's been.
All right, maybe we'll
assuredly
just give you the because we only at that time it was about 2020. I'll give you the passing grade, but I won't give you the full marks. Maybe if it was right now, I would. But then it goes into I actually might even. Here's the thing: this next one, it's debatable. I might be wrong on, which is my take was Zemu was not a top 5 player of all time. Now, the problem is since then, he won the major, a bunch more MVPs, another year number 1, etc. A bunch more MVPs in a bunch more tournaments in general. So I think on that one, I still think it's probably borderline, because here's the problem with that topic is you can't have that conversation with a modern fan. They think for real number 1 and number 2, number 3 really is just like simple, Ziwu. And then the joke is now they'd probably put like fucking Shiro or Donk or something stupid. So like the real problem is if we're doing like top 5 all time, you have to think about like Get Right and Cold Zero and Kenny S and, you know, like the best players to ever play. So yeah, the thing is, but if you're doing the top 5, I feel like actually, I gotta say, I feel like it's on the border. I feel like some people would have him. Well, go on then, what do you think?
I think he's top 5 definitely, top 3 even.
Okay, so for you, he's definitely... Okay.
You said like the names like Coldzera, Get Right, and Kenny S. Is he better than Kenny S? Use the 5 years of Kenny S from 2013, 2017, 18. Is he better than his 5 years than Kenny S was in his 5 years? Yeah. Coldzera, yes. Get Right, definitely. Who else?
Nico.
Device, no. Device, no. Nico, yeah, up there. Like they can be matching. Device has more consistency and more years. Who else? Simple, Device, Nico. Who else?
So you've got him top 5 then? Yeah, you've got him number 4
That's
or number 3 for you.
Yeah, that's all. That's all. I don't think if you compare any other player because we are here, especially you and me. Sorry, Maui, but you and me have been since the very beginning of 2013, right? We know all these players and all these eras, like all of Cold, Fallen, you know, all these like Crims as well at some point, like all these like players that have been very good. But I think Zyvo surpassed them in these 5 years that he played, you know.
My problem is just, without making it a big thing, again, as you said earlier, the problem is I take all the online shit out. I think I should just be taken out for everyone. I'd take it out for Device, Simple too. Take all the online shit out of the equation. So the problem is he has less years. Even so, though, like I say, it's borderline. I could probably see a world where he's like number 4, number 5 for me. But there's another day where I'd have to really go and look at the games as well. Maybe he's number 6. So, but I will say this. Here's the difference. Before he had the major and some of the other things for last year, this is also the thing people don't do. They keep doing this thing where it's like, right, cause Zimu's this cracked at the end of 2023, that justifies me saying he was equally as good in 2019. It's like, well, no, it doesn't. Like, actually, that's not the way that works at all. Like, he's good now. You were wrong earlier. Like, the difference is, this is actually why I put that he was overrated in the past. Now he is getting to the level they always said he was at, but he's actually doing it now. And spoiler, when they actually do it, I love watching people do it. That's why actually, when I say that shit about the major, I'll never say that if he actually does a major run against Killers, mate. I'll love it. That'll be the shit. He just hasn't done it yet. So anyway, whatever. I think that, like I say on that one, I can say I'm wrong on that one. That's fine. Then we go to the next episode. Maui had a take here, interesting one. Obviously, we can say quick up if it's right or not. He said Naf should join an EU team. So obviously at the time he saw Naf doing a twists type move. I don't really know on that one. Technically, we might be wrong on that in 2 months, or you might be right.
Still valid.
Yeah, I can't know.
Still valid. Is an EU team. Almost an EU team already. So yeah, he's got 2 Europeans, 2 North Americans, and 1 Brazilian.
True.
Oh, it's not European team, yeah. Okay.
It's whether he should have. It's whether he should have, and I think the answer is he probably should have.
Absolutely. This
Even the 2023 for Liquid. Yeah.
What we've learned from this episode is
the last year that he can do it.
What we've learned from this episode is you shouldn't ever give specific takes. You should just lawyer so that in the future you can say, he should have just said he should join a not NA team. And then he could have done that angling just in there. It's like, that would have worked. But EU team, I agree with Kassad. Not quite there. Close, but no cigar. Even though it might end up being in a few months, that actually be a rare take that becomes true if this team could line up socks. Then we had one, again, it's not really much of a take you can assess. Kassad just said there should be no more Swiss system. So I don't really think history's changed that take. Here's one, straight out the gate. Don't worry, I absolutely shit the bed on this one. So Thorin said, this is at the beginning of 2023, that Dexter would be a top 10 player in 2023. Spoiler, he was barely a player. So, yeah, I know. So on that one, I feel I'll just take the L immediately, just like Dexter did. But that then leads into quite an interesting one, because do you know what? This was one of the spiciest takes ever. But here's what's funny, Maui. You were wrong on this one, factually. But I actually think it was way closer than anyone expected. Because your take was that Simple in 2023 wouldn't be a top. I think it just wouldn't be a top player. Was it? What did you say?
I think I said top 3. I said top 3 players.
If you did say top 3, then we were right. Yeah, but obviously
Yeah,
he did still make the top 10. He was like, what was he like?
He was ninth
or something? There you go. Yeah.
No, I said top 3 or top 5. I actually said top 3 or top 5 guarantee. I know for sure.
Okay. Well, in that case, you got it right.
I didn't say top 10. Yeah,
Which, by the way, was one of the spicier takes at the time, kassad. He was coming off being number 1 player. Everyone thought he was going to play all the event. And it's simple. Like, dude, you think to yourself, in the same way as, sadly, they're naive, but all the Zero fans now think, well, you can't possibly ever be below top 2. By the way, the first year that happens, you'll all have, like, the flash of water in your face. But, yeah, by the way, who could ever have predicted that? He'd been number 1 and number 2 for, like, the last 5 years at that point in time. So it's a pretty good take.
That take, by the way, was just because of I just said worked the Blast Spring groups. He was kind of by his standards mediocre. So I was kind of like, ooh, that was kind of a downturn.
Right.
And then also there were rumblings at the time in terms of what he was saying in interviews, where I think all of it was leading up to the fact that he was taking a break later in the year. And so it was kind of based off of just like his body language, his personality, what he was putting in there. It was kind of just like a big read overall that it was like he's probably gonna get tired by like later.
What are you
part of this
fucking
game.
No, I knew that would get to you because
It was literally, hey, James Banks gets a lot out of Simple. He gets a lot out of Simple. We see a lot, and he gets him pretty comfortable.
Connected 2 dots.
That's why I said it. That's why I said
Basically
it.
took a shot at the dark, and now you are just like, you body language. Come on, Maui.
I like the way he's doing that angle that they do in the UFC where they watch the stare down and they go, oh, he looked away first. Oh, he's scared. He's going to lose the fight. But they just like decide later whether that was right or not. Okay. Then we have kassad's take that this was the worst map pool ever. Again, I mean, I think that take was just a take of its time. Here's a good one. Sadly, let me think. No, sadly, I fucked this one up. I was wrong on this one, guys. I was close, but I was wrong. Are you ready? Oh, this is such a brutal one when you consider the one fucking event they did it at. My take was that Cloud9 wouldn't make a LAN final in 2023. So, of course, they made that fucking stupid ass ESL Pro League one and then did fuck all for the rest of the year. But they did make a fight. So I was wrong on that one. They made a... Look, technically, it was... I guess philosophically, I could challenge that Mauisnake because it's like that old saying, you know, if a tree falls in the woods and only 4 ESL admins and 3 people's families heard it, did it in fact
Malta
fall? Yeah, exactly. So, but technically, they did make a final, the one that they lost to FaZe for the Grand Slam. So I'll give that one up. I was wrong on that one. So far, by the way, if you keep me count, Thorin has been wrong the most so far. Just going to say that. I am putting that out there. Then Maui had the take. Ooh. Maui said Zero would have his best Katowice performance in 2023. I think that might even be right. Did he?
Well, you want to know what that whole take was really about?
It was about the air quality.
That was the air quality take.
But did he actually have a better one? Look it up quickly. I think he might have done. I think he had an alright one at that one, right?
He had if we're going by rating alone, he had a 1.28. Before that, he had a 1.10. Before that, he had a 1.11.
Oh, then he killed it. Yeah,
markedly better, and the air quality was better that year.
Yes. So what Maui's saying there, which is fair, is it was a meme take, but it also ended up being factually accurate. So okay, fair enough.
Yeah, there's a direct correlation.
Tell you what though, if I was wrong on some of my other takes, I have fucking nailed this one though, boys. Because are you ready? I'm gonna look up that date again. This was on the 28th of January 2023. I said Furia is in trouble and kassad will be ELO held. Bruh.
yeah.
I think you have to give me that. That's an A+ on that fucking one, mate.
Okay. You can take that.
I mean, I didn't even know, but if you add in the paying 700k for Fallen, they're really in trouble now, mate. Like, that's all the transfer money gone on fucking old ass Fallen. And also, spoiler, just look at kassad face when they play. He is ELO held. It's where I've even become like, look at him. He looked at the ground though. Like,
I really want to know what's going on through his head right now in these days. Like, when they lost again to Apex, and who did they lose? The Mongols?
The Mongols again.
Mongols
Same fucking
Apex.
guys. Yeah. Like, bro, how many times are you going to lose on land to like a fucking Mongolians? Listen, I'm not asking for much, but Mongolians, bro. Right, okay, then we went on to the next episode, which was on the 9th of February, and kassad opened with the take, classic kassad take, OG will drop its CSGO division. So he actually just thought they would fire the whole team in that particular case.
So close.
They were? They were actually going to leave, you think?
Yeah, they were so close. There were discussions, there were decisions.
Okay.
They didn't know what the hell was happening, and it was so close that they didn't do it, sadly, for I mean, I might.
Well, unfortunately, on that one, here's the problem. If that one had been OG should, then you would have been 100% right. But since it was just like they would drop it.
Listen, I don't get hung up at these technicalities. If I'm right or wrong.
Yeah.
I'm not.
But are you ready?
I'm not gonna try to get out.
Here's the
It's a better
thing.
take when you say it like that.
The next take also shows another preoccupation / obsession that this show has. It's not about Rain, but are you ready? It's another player that never stops being mentioned. Are you ready? So Maui's it's also a Maui fucking predilection. Are you ready? Maui's take was that Messi should stop being the in-game leader in Fnatic. By the way, if you remember, Maui has 1 million Messi-related takes throughout the year or so. Like, for some reason, that's just one player. You just consistently have to. It's usually that he should be a different IGL or he shouldn't be the IGL. Well, here's the thing. I think, essentially, you're right on that one because he's already won events as not an IGL. I mean, you meant in Fnatic, but even so, if we just make it not an IGL, I think you're right. And I think you would have been right in Fnatic. It probably would have been better to have an IGL that was real in Fnatic, right?
I think I might have made the Messi shouldn't be. Then they got Dexter, and I'm like, no, God, not him.
Okay,
of all the
okay,
IGLs
right.
to get,
Careful
like,
what you wish
the
for,
one
right? Okay.
Because
Yes.
I definitely made a take
Yes.
in the future that was like, Messi can just be the IGL again.
Right.
This is not
Okay.
any better, actually.
Okay.
He
What do you
stumbled
think?
into
Was he right or
stumbled
wrong on
into a
that?
take here.
What do you say,
I think he
Kassad?
was. I mean, he was right.
I think we can
Like
get
at the end
that
of the day, he was. I think he was saying the right thing, and fortunately for him, he ended up in another team being not the IGL. So yeah, you can take that one. It's a good one.
Yes. Then I had the take. I don't really think this has changed, but we'll put it out there. I said that the Boston major final wasn't a top 2 major final of all time. Spoiler, it's not like Blast Paris has eliminated it or whatever. So I don't think anything's changed on that one, has it? Has it, mate? Don't think it has. We'll just let that one go. Then Kassad had this take. Ooh. Tell you what, mate, this is not bad. Technically as a containing element, but you've nailed this one. Kassad said that Boston would leave Cloud9 before the end of 2023.
Buster. Yeah.
Did happen. Did
I mean,
happen.
of course, I'm
Nailed
right.
it. Okay.
It was
nailed
easy.
it. Okay. Then
I'll
I
give
had
some credit.
then I had
I
a
mean,
take.
good job, good. Well done, Kassad. Well done,
Thank you,
Kassad.
thank you, thank you.
Yeah,
The
no,
lateral move that they
Oh.
made didn't actually change
Oh.
anything.
Yep,
In fact,
you
it
nailed
might have
that
been
one.
a negative.
Feels so
Yep,
good
you
now.
absolutely
Intros
nailed
might
that
just be
one.
better.
Oh, well, listen,
Better.
I also agree that was low-hanging fruit. But you got it right. Listen, Kassad, the low-hanging fruit needs picking as well. It all needs picking. So you got that one. Then we're going to go to this.
He said that my Cloud9 is not going to make a final, and he says Buster is the low-hanging fruit. I mean, man, come on. All right, let's go. All right.
It's actually so sad, by the way, that the Cloud9 not making a final one's just a good take, but it just was actually wrong. So, okay, here's a good one, because Maui might get triggered by this, but you know what? I actually stand by this one. I said that I thought Frozen was capped out.
No, I mean, obviously we see that he's like, he did incredibly well for himself in 2023, and I think most people, including myself, think that the HLTV top 20, that's the biggest snub. He should have been maybe 4 spots,
right.
5 spots above anybody
Sure.
else there. So, I mean, capped out's a wild way to put it, because he had an incredible year for himself, and I think that was even with Maus themselves not having the most excellent year for themselves.
What do you think, Kassad? Where are you at on this one?
Oh, I don't know, honestly, right now. I mean, he had a pretty good 2023. I'm not going to lie. Even though
Was it
I
much
had,
better
like-
than 2022 to you?
Yes.
Did he take a level up?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, he did.
Okay.
100%. I don't know about 2024, but 2023 was definitely the best one for him.
I'd have to go
He's
back a
still
look,
young.
but I feel like he was quite a similar player, and his team just got better. He got Shuhei, they won the fucking Pro League, they got Yimfat. Like, he didn't do any of those things. I think he played fairly similarly. But here's the thing, it's all good. The good thing about that one is that's active still. So if he does awesome in FaZe, then you wrecked me on that one. So maybe on a future review, this will actually come back and be even better. Right.
They kick Rain, yeah?
I mean, if they kick, essentially at this point, everyone must kick Rain and/or recruit Messi and/or make him IGL, then not IGL, then make him IGL again. I don't fucking, and then something about
And Caserato's in Elo Hell.
Yeah, and then Caserado.
Something about Poland.
That's every episode for us.
Yeah, but basically,
We just summed it all up.
By the way, if you're a fan out there, if you do this well, we will retweet it. Make a funny bingo card of Hot Take Point Made, like Kassad says, some
Yeah.
defense Nico. So
Yeah.
just make one like that and then see if people can play along at home. Because I'll bet actually someone gets bingo every week. I'll bet if you do it right, you can nail it. Because we do have, as you see, we've got certain themes we're sort of obsessed with returning back to. So, okay, then there's this one by Maui. Ooh, this is interesting. I want to see where Kassad goes on this one. Maui's take was that Sirison leaving big would actually help them in the long term. What do you think of that? What's your verdict on whether he's right or wrong on that one?
I think he's wrong because they didn't get better, did they? Right?
I don't think they did, no.
I don't think they got better. What is the thing that they did better than they did with Searson? At least with Searson, they want some online things.
And they used to go to the majors and that. Yeah, sure.
Yeah. I mean, what now is just a mess.
Yes.
Especially because like they have just 4 Germans and a Polish guy speaking English in the team. And they have like 2 academy players. Krimbo is amazing. I'm not gonna lie. He's a great player. But have they done better since they released him or he benched himself or whatever the hell happened? No, I don't think so. So Maui, that's
Do you take the L on that, Maui? Would you accept the L on that one?
It's in the long run. We're still in that run.
I'm
still running.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's mad is normally we actually are so fair when we make the takes, but now we're all just rules lawyering the fuck out of every single angle. Like, okay. So okay, then we moved on to this one.
They've been pretty bad for a year.
This one was just basically a comment, although I'd just say, just look at the team now. I just said that outsiders is limited by a shallow map pool. By the way, that's not even really actually a spicy hot take. It's just because fans thought, they're the major champ. Like, they always have had a bad map pool. Just always have. They're still dodgy to this day. I think that one's
and I love them.
fine.
I can't speak against them. No, that's the thing. Like I like that team a lot. The way that they're playing and the level of in-game intelligence they have is above any other team right now. I don't know what happened on this event in Kato right now. I don't know how they got destroyed so much by Gamer Legion, who is not at their tier. It shouldn't be, or Cloud9, who doesn't even have an Opper. So I don't know what happened. I would love to hear that, but in my opinion, they don't have their whatever specific map like specialist on any map.
No, that was actually one of the points I think I made, kassad. My point was that the strength of the team isn't actually maps; it's just how they play. Like that style either works. If they make that style work, the joke is they made it work on the maps they're bad at. If they didn't make it work, even the maps they got on, they would lose. I
guess that take is a W.
Okay. Yeah. All right, here's an interesting one, though, because this is one of the better Maui ones. Remember, this is March of 2023, guys. So it's not when they've won the major. He said Apex is a top 5 IGL. Where's the thing, Maui? If he gets to win IGL of the year that year, I think you win that one. I think you get to win that one.
I think that's pretty simple. Pretty simple.
Not least because if he did win that award, which I imagine he probably did, I didn't hear anyone go, oh my God, what the hell? Who else? Like, I think actually everyone accepted it, didn't they? They just said it.
No, I have to accept it. It's just, I think, like, they won all these things. It doesn't matter if you get Zyvu or whatever, those Spinks and all this Zonic. You still need to lead these people on the server at some point. Like, you need to deal with all the pressures. Like, and if you manage to win, despite the competition being high or low or whatever the fuck their strengths are, like, you still need to win. So nobody else won that much, did they? So that's what makes him not top 5, but the best probably the last year.
Sure.
Yeah, it's also safe to say Apex isn't like an exception to the rule type player, or IGL for that matter, like a Hooksy in some eyes.
Yes. And then I'll tell you what, boys. Remember, this was filmed on the 22nd, or released on the 22nd of March. My take was that FaZe, who at the time was very criticised, were only 5% worse than when they were winning. Something like a week later, they won Pro League in the Grand Slam. So, listen,
pretty
not
good.
all of them are W's, but I think I can take that one, surely. They did win a fucking $1 million right after that. And big mass of fuck off gold bars, like out of a fucking movie from the 60s, like some James Bond shit or something. Exactly. Gangster.
Some Scarface shit, yeah.
Exactly. And then basically, let me see, what was the next one? Yes. Oh, here we go. Listen, I can't lie. This might not have aged well, kassad. So kassad's take.
Why does he pick my failed ones?
Get ready.
Good ones.
We're picking
we're doing all of them. Yeah, we're doing all of them. Kassad's take said that the Asian scene, this is cause of IHC beating like Fury, whatever. Asian scene is stronger than the NA scene right now. It's like, that's a blistering take even at the time, mate. Holy shit.
Who eliminated Furia from this event?
Yeah, they did, but we just said Complexity almost won an event in CS2. Like, not just like 28th place at Katowice or whatever.
7 months later in a completely different game where the Asian team didn't even have a spot on. Come on. Like, see what happens now. I really hope they lost it. Never mind.
Okay. The Mongols
in the next
lost.
event, Mongols with the quality to play Complexity.
Sadly, as he was speaking, he like refreshed the page. Like, oh no, it's gone. like as he. I love it.
Complexity got a spot in the main event. Mongols didn't, right? They got the plane. Okay. But if there is a god, and I think there is up there, they're gonna meet Complexity in the major. We're gonna have this discussion again.
Oh, okay. By the way, all I'm going to say, Maui, is now I get a sense that if you're a player in a kassad team, you're like, Coach, I'm not sure you're right about that. Fucking hell, but you just block out the next half an hour. He'll just be going.
I like how Kassad has to cite his theism to actually justify this take as well.
They did beat them. What do you
All
mean?
right, if you think that, here's the thing though, Kassad. Luckily, we've gone back to back with the hilarious takes though, because you listen to Maui's take. This has gotten really bad in context, by the way. Maui's take in March of 2023 was that the ESL top 20 ranking was better than HLTV's.
It might have been at that very second.
I don't know about that.
Actual ordering 1 through 20, I think, was better. That's why I made that take. If you looked at them side by side at that time, I think people would agree with that. But we'd have to bring it up in terms of the formula.
Again,
I don't think it's better.
He's lawyering up. Oh my God! Come on, do we need to open the right now the standings on ESL?
Right, you ready for a really funny one, though? Because even though actually I did do this as a meme, obviously I was just completely, factually in every sense wrong. I actually said that the old French one with Kenny S, that Falcons would qualify for Blast Paris. But I think I even said I was doing it jokingly as a Kenny S stand. So, like, spoiler, they didn't. And then the reason that's funny is we don't even know if, like, the real Falcons will qualify to, like, the real major now. So I think that one's just funny. I was obviously factually wrong on that one. Here's an interesting one, though. This is actually one of those blazing ones from Kassad that, like, is actually a weird one. I think people would be shocked that this was a Kassad take. He actually said in March of 2023 that Mauisnake was currently the best player in G2. So he actually had Mauisnake over Nico at the time, which, to be fair, I mean...
It's still true.
That was when Nico wasn't that great at Katowice. That's not even a bad take. Obviously, at the end of the year, people had Nico as the best player, but you're talking about that at that time.
Yeah,
that's not
true
bad.
Today.
It's true today. What, he's better than Nico now? I guess because of CS2. You're right. In theory, in CS2, he's currently better. I thought you meant like overall as a player.
Oh, no, not overall. But
okay.
Like in the last year, definitely.
Okay. Here's an interesting one, because actually, again, I'll leave it to the jury for this one. Then Maui's take was that Hampus would be a better in-game leader than Alexi in NIP. Is that a push? Is that even a right or wrong?
I can answer that. I have Hampus right now.
Okay.
And I would say yes. 100%.
Yeah, but in an IP, he's in your team now, and like the joke is, how did that work out? What the fuck's going on?
Because he's a better IGL. That's why I'm saying. It doesn't matter if it's an IP or bleed.
Listen, mate, if you think he's a better IGL, I hope he's your fucking IGL till you die, mate. Let him be the only IGL you ever have. And if Alexi B or Glaive or Carrigan Seville, don't sign him, cocksucker. You can only have Hampus. And I'll tell you what, your career will be short if he is your IGL the whole fucking time. I'll tell you that right now.
You wanted me to compare Alexi and Hampus, and I did.
I knew it. It's all good. I did that intentionally to fuck with him. It's all good. It's all good.
Okay. Bring it back to even what
to
I
be
said.
fair, I'll give him credit.
Go on. On NIP, Alexi B did absolutely nothing. It looked really bad. They were losing in horrible ways. With Hampus for NIP, at least they made grand finals of online events and things like that. They looked okay at times. I'm not saying that either one was a sensational in-game leader for them, but when Alexi was on that team, it felt like a train wreck over and over again.
I put my money where my mouth is. I took Hampus.
That's true.
To my team. You put your money where your mouth is for Alexi. Say something good about Alexi and Navi about the major. Where are they going to end up?
What the fuck did fucking Hampus do at the major, mate? All right, I'll tell you what. Hey, I'll say something good. I bet Alexi B's way better at this major than fucking Hampus is.
Well, that's not fucking...
That's a hot take for you.
Is he going to be at the major? So you're saying they're going to qualify?
The joke is it'll be funnier if Alexi B doesn't qualify now, and then it's just fucking irrelevant anyway. I know, it's whatever. It's all good. It's the thing. It's all still mates still. All still mates. The problem with that one is, Maui, that is the area where you've got to realise it is all fun and games, but we had to go right in his job. So
yeah.
You know, you got to put that out there.
The crossfire.
I know that's the problem. It's all just laughs when it's just opinions. Right. What about this one then? Then the next episode came along. This is an interesting one because Kassad had a take. This is a fucking... I'm not even sure where we're going to come on this take. Kassad's take was that Device leaving NIP was a bigger mistake than leaving Astralis. Because I guess he thought at the time NIP had like pieces they could use, or he could have done something in his career there, something, right?
I can't fucking remember, but that might be the thing. Because, I mean, him leaving NIP to go back to Astralis was a bigger mistake than him leaving Astralis to go in the NIP.
Here's the problem with this one, Maui. I want you to give your take on this one, because I feel like this is like, I could go either way on this. Like, in a way, you could say that they didn't do anything. Like, he was awesome in Astralis, but Astralis didn't really do much, did they? So I don't know. What do you think on that one? Why would you judge this one?
Just off the top of my head, I mean, what in device for NIP they made like grand finals of like. Wait, what did they? What did
Flashpoint they were in online. Then online they were top 8 at the major. They were all right team. They weren't bad.
And who was the IGL? You know who was the IGL back then?
Yeah, Hampus. Hampus was. And actually, so far on Astralis, the best thing they did was we got playoffs at Cologne, and what didn't they beat? Did they make like a playoffs of a blast thing or something? I don't know. Either way, it's been actually it has been more impressive generally for what he did on NIP, which is weird, but. The team right now got us really excited because he's on it, but I mean, they just. I
don't know. Like I said,
fucking dollars for fucking Yappy and stuff. $2 million, and they can't get past the plates.
Like I say, I feel like that one I can go either way on. It can be right, it can be wrong. I think it's a subjective one. It's all good. We'll move on. Right, then we had. I think this is one where I don't think history's changed. I just said I thought that Zonic was a massive part of Glaive's success. What's sad about that is I think everyone agrees with me now, but like, believe it or not, only about a year ago, that was like a blistering hot take. Because at the time, remember, this is before Zonic's won the major with Vitality, we're supposed to at the time say Glaive's like the godhead IGL and everything he did was perfect. Well, the irony, aside from the fact that right now as we're filming, he's actually having like a little renaissance in fucking ends. Obviously, after that, the joke is, no one even cried when this guy got kicked from Astralis. Everyone was even like, what the hell? Why is he going to end? It's like, I think everyone sort of came around on that one. Here's a good one though, because this is a rough one for Maui, but to be fair, at the time I agreed. He actually predicted that kassad would be the best rifle in 2023. So are you can take the L on that one?
I mean,
you have to.
What do you mean?
Yeah, clearly.
What do you mean? I
mean? Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's clearly like he clearly wasn't the
Listen,
top.
that was a well-intentioned one, but you took the L on that one. I mean, the joke is even kassad knows that one. Here's a mad one though. This one's actually mental because this is one that what I love about kassad takes is it's not that it's just distance that makes them mad. I think this was mad at the time, which is if you remember. I don't know. I actually remember the context. It's not as bad, mate. The take was kassad said FaZe didn't deserve to be at the major, but that was because they had that last chance thing. I just remembered.
Yeah.
It's because they had to go through those insane. They had to play like 1 billion games, didn't they? And like beat Cloud9. And whereas the premise was normally you don't get a last chance, do you? If you fail the Swiss, you just fail the Swiss. Actually, that's one that like sounds mad until you know that context. I think that was just a good one. Actually, you're probably right. Anyone who has to go through some extra added last chance probably doesn't deserve to be at the major. I think that's reasonable. I don't think that's even a bad take. Okay. Right, what's mad is I then had one, which we'll do very quickly, because it was one that was mainly a take to just diss fans and all the people in the scene. Because if you don't know, you just crowbar whatever you want to talk in this show and pretend it's a hot take. So I had a triple-decker hot take where I simultaneously said that commentators and analysts do understand what's going on in the game from a pro perspective. Because remember, Simple blasted Maui. That Simple being good at the game doesn't make his opinions right. And that most pros actually don't understand the game on the level of people who like watch the game as an analyst for a living. So I think that was just a banger on that one. I think that's just legit. Here's a good one though. Maui had a really spicy one, but actually, let me see. How many months has it been out? Look this up, right? See if I'll look up now when the first tournament. So the first tournament was IEM Sydney. Let me see. What date was IEM Sydney? Look up when IEM Sydney was, Maui.
October 25th to something.
October, okay.
From
October
20th to 25th.
Mid-October. It says, 16th to 20th.
Okay, right. Well, cool thing about this one is this is one that's still active then. So you ready? It actually hasn't come to this point yet. Because then Maui had a take that after 6 months of CS2, so we haven't got there yet, we've got a few months to go still, but it's coming up. After 6 months of CS2, only 3 of what at the time in April 2023 were the top 10 teams would be top 10 in CS2. So essentially he was sort of saying he thought it would shift up the whole, the top 10 or whatever, So we're only a couple of months out. How far would that be, I wonder? Because let me think, there should be a bunch of teams that would be in the top 10 now that weren't before. Like obviously people like the Complexities of the world probably are. The Mouse Spots of the world maybe, I'm not sure.
I think, for fuck's sake, we have Fury on the 10th spot now.
So we'll check back in on that one. I think there's a chance that could be right though. If you think about some of the different rosters, like your Falcons can get in there. There's a bunch of teams can. We'll see on that one. We'll wait and see on that one. Right, then we went to the episode. It was at the end of April. It was the 29th of April. kassad had one of his blistering hot takes, which was that in 29th of April, kassad said that Shiro was the best player in the world. Obviously, that was at the time. So if we disagreed at the time, we disagreed at the time. He agreed at the time. Spoiler, technically, along the lines of what he just said, he did try to put his money where his mouth is. He did try to buy Shiro. So
Yeah.
You inquired, so you did go for it.
I
Okay.
inquired, yeah, but it was a little bit late. But
That was
I
a bit of a hot
inquired,
take, though. I'll give you that. I'll give you that one.
Where did he end up on the top 20? Shiro?
I think he was like top 10. He was like, what, 7th or something? Something over there, wasn't he?
Yeah, top
wasn't he around
10.
something like that?
Yeah, I think 7 sounds
I
about
think
right.
something about that. Because if I remember, the problem he had was like not enough
Eighth.
events, but his obviously
Eighth.
rating was mega. Yeah, exactly.
Well, I'll take that.
Yeah,
I'll take
Okay.
that.
Then I had a take. Well, I'll let you judge whether I was right on this one. My take, because it was about Bit's level having dropped off, that my take was that Bit actually being good in the first place was just Blade. Like, I thought actually Blade sort of put him in the spots to be good and put him in the situation. So I'll let you two judge that. Do you think I was right? Was I wrong?
That could still be true because he changed a lot of his spots. He looked pretty bad and then he caught up to speed again. And it's like, well, how did he catch up to speed? Is that actually him? Or was that Blade helping him out with all of his new roles and positions? Because they made him an anchor now with this current version of Na'Vi. And in the very beginning, I thought he was a weak link for like a month or two.
Yes.
So now, well, he's good. So I don't know. Does Bit have it within him to actually learn a position to that degree, or is that Blade and Alexi helping him out?
What would you say, Kassad?
I don't know if how connected is in Na'Vi his positions with Blade. It should be massively connected, right? So if they are like it should be, then you're right. But if it's like more of a team thing, then I don't think it's Blade.
Yes.
But if it's Blade said, listen, this is what you play now. I don't like you in this spot because you're playing blah 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 whatever. But if it's like a team decision and he said to Blade, listen, I think I'm the better with this one, then we cannot say it's Blade, right? So it's a matter of what happened inside the team. But most likely it's Blade.
What I would say on that one is, obviously we can't...
To make a bet on that, it would be Blade. Yeah.
Obviously, I can't actually know, like you say, who said what in the team. But all I'll say is the circumstantial evidence that when they then made the international lineup and shed most of their old players and probably changed the roles, he suddenly became way better. I think that maybe plays to my favour.
I mean, how much...
But again, it's a subjective one.
Again, like how much does Blade know about his team and he didn't know the Simple was even in the airplane for Sydney?
I feel like that's such a tangential.
It was kind of a non sequitur, but it's all good. It's all good, man. It's all good.
Yeah. I don't know how that's.
But here's the thing, though. As usual, somehow I didn't cue these up. This is just the order we did the takes in. But the next take from Maui is a mega L because his take was that 9 would make the playoffs of the major. Now, I know it is. I know they got 0-3. Yeah, I know. That's pretty good.
They were such land chokers. They were such land chokers.
Were you high when you said that?
I watched their online.
They were good online, to be fair.
They were good online. They looked so good online.
He was probably watching online, smoked like out of his mind. Just these guys. I'm gonna make a fucking hot take.
If we're learning anything about them, it's the mentality because now we get that ends roster with an actual good in game leader instead of Minio, and look at what they're doing. They're taking down Astralis. They're gonna take. I think they just took down the Mongols. Also, hey, they're making it to the playoff the group stage that is of Katowice. So all they needed was one more body that was warm that actually knew how to hold his nerve in a big situation.
Listen, all I'm gonna say is this: you cannot ever dispute, guys, that we live up to the premise of the show. Okay, so all I'm gonna say is we have absolutely put hot takes on these motherfucking tables every week. Here's another one. So I actually think, I'll tell you what, Kassad, I'll just preempt it. I think you nailed this one, mate. You said this will be the weakest major we had in 5 to 6 years. Dude, we couldn't have known at the time you'd have like Into the Breach and the fucking quarters, Apex and the Grand Game Legion in the final. I think you nailed that one.
Should I do it like a Maui? I had like this premonition, and it's like I saw this body language of some of these GMs and organizations. It's like I connected all that, and I just took a shot. I just saw what's happening, took a shot, and it worked.
Okay.
I mean, to your credit, also, as soon as I saw this Major 2, for whatever reason, I think the Pick'ems video I think I did was like I labeled it something like the case for every underdog at this Major because I don't know, for whatever reason it just felt like.
Yeah, he's trying to take the credit for my take.
I'm not too, but I was like on a similar wavelength to you. So I respect that. I respect the call. Okay. You nailed it on the show though.
Then we've got these 3 takes in a row, which are all similar takes. Like they're all that style where like you can tell we must have just like scheduled it so we hadn't done like a different talk show. Because it's the ones where like it's not even really like a hot take prediction. It's just a crowbar of like you want to talk about this team, so you craft a story. So there was 3 that were like that, but I actually think the results made us all right on all of them. So Thorin said heroic are all-time great chokers. This is before they blew a semi-final of a major to fucking Gamer Legion, guys. So I think I'll take credit. I'll take that W instantly. Then Maui said Heroic had the highest floor as a pro team. I think it's a pretty fair take. Remember, this is before it became the narrative that they always choke and they always beat. I think that's it, but you nailed that one too. And then similarly, Maui had another one. He said Cloud9 are the biggest chokers. Well, I think results have borne all three of these out, guys. I think we got all three of these ones. I think these ones are all good.
Yeah.
They're all quality. Yeah. Which then leads, though, to a kassad. Why is every kassad take like this, by the way? Like, instead of Cloud9 should change a player, because kassad's take was Cloud9 should sell their current team and Hobbit has fallen off. So have you noticed? I noticed the kassad approach is essentially just kill everyone.
Saying that,
Kassad, essentially, the character he most relates to now, he would obviously be Jehovah in the Bible, because he just thinks, right, I don't like the way things are going, so just wipe this whole system clean and start over. It's like, it's always just kill the whole team. Like,
everything's an absolute with Kassad.
Yes,
he's
it
like
is.
a Sith.
Yes,
he's
exactly.
a Sith.
Exactly.
Have you heard the good news? Is that the thing? Like knocking on the door thing?
Yes.
Jehovah's Witnesses?
Exactly. Exactly. Right. Then we came to the episode on the 27th of March. This is after the major. So Maui then had the take that Nico was the biggest major choker. That one was, look, we can't say whether it was right. Well, we all disagreed with him or argued with him at the time. Then we came to Kassad, who at the time was on like a fuck FaZe thing. Not a bad one. That was the one where famously he said FaZe isn't top 5, but then you remember this, Maui. And I was then like, well, who's top 5? And then he just sort of fumbled naming 5 names is all. So even though I actually thought it was a good take, like you sort of fumbled the execute. You didn't stick the landing, basically, that's the problem. You did the loop, but you didn't stick, you broke your leg on the landing. So I don't know. I feel, by the way, it wasn't a terrible take. They actually did sort of go on a slump after that. Fair enough. They had the I Am Dallas run that was about it. After that, they actually had their worst run ever. I think at least the direction. I think you get a passing grade for that one. I think you can have that one.
I didn't expect the follow-up question, but okay.
It's all good. Then I had one, but I think we all agreed on this one. I just said like, all of Dupree's major titles aren't equal, because obviously people were treating it like, well, he's got the most now, so is he? People, by the way, this take's already gone and no one now would say it. But dude, there were people around that major trying to verbalize out loud, like, is he in the GOAT conversation because he won 5? You remember people were like trying to make that start, like they didn't make it fully, but they were starting to start that bandwagon up. And luckily I noticed everyone just shut it down. And now the joke is, Ben and I doesn't even play a top team now, guys. No one would say that now. No one even on this show would make that as a hot take. Then we had one though. This was Maui's. Obviously, it's very similar to the one he did on the major that got him in trouble. He said Cadian is not an all-time great CS:GO in-game leader. I mean, CS:GO's over, so what's the verdict on Kassad? Was that a good one?
I mean, that's a W, right?
Yeah, I think
that's
so.
A W you have to take it like into account all these in-game leaders in the past 10 years, not in the past 3 years, right?
I think that was the problem, Kassad, is I think fans were thinking Maui was saying he's not a top in-game leader now, which he obviously was. What they're missing is, like you say, though, people like Pronax get to be above him. Of course they do. They won all those loads of people.
Exists.
Yes.
Yep.
It's just it's a lot of names out there that won a lot of things, right? You cannot just put Cadian's name just right in the middle of this. Yeah, in the couple of years, what he did heroic was great, but there's other names too. Yeah.
And then we had a couple we can go through quickly. And I think what we'll do is after this, we'll do our hot takes and we'll come back for the rest of the review, guys. We'll only be in like a few weeks or something, so we'll be able to get through them all still. Then there was 2 takes, which again aren't really to be judged. They're just at the time. Obviously, but it's funny to mention them because they're obviously on brand. So Kassad's was, believe it or not, that Huxley was the region G2 didn't make the playoffs of the major. So I think people might remember that was a classic. That was a HUD classic right there, because everyone was trying to go down Nico and Kassad dangled Huxley over here to distract them all, like the fucking meet with the Dobermans guarding the junkyard so you can get inside, right? Then
the number says it all.
I had a take, which, spoiler, I still tweet about to this day, where this is before the final, I'm guessing, because I just said that the first 2 playoff series didn't pass the eye test for vitality. The ones against Into the Breach and Apex. Like, those were fucking whack, those series. Because on paper, you're supposed to just dominate, and especially the Apex one. Bro, they almost lost that one. Like, that was the one where they were like, that was like a very competitive series. So then we went to the next. Oh, so actually, let's do our takes now. That's it. We're going to pause on that. That was the first 10 episodes. I think we've done 17, so there's 7 more to go, but we'll do the other ones at the beginning of the next one. Right, let's do our hot takes now then. So who's going to go first? Who's got a hot take? The first hot take of 2024. Who we going with?
I have like many of them. I got
ready.
On. The first one, this is the first one. Whoever buys Monessi is going to be the number 1 team in the world. 2024, 2025, doesn't fucking matter whenever he switches teams, right? This guy, ever since the start of CS, has been something else. in terms of fragging, in terms of like, in-game intelligence, in terms of in-game awareness, everything that he does is completely right. You cannot catch him make a mistake. You were talking about AWP being nerfed, AWP being shit, AWP being this. He doesn't feel it at all. He's one and only AWPer who doesn't feel it at all. Obviously, Zaivu is still up there. He has a tremendous rating right now. But the thing is, like, I'm talking about Monesi, and because I've been watching his games a lot, and we have been playing against them a few times as well. The guy is unstoppable. Like, that's why I'm saying he's the best player in G2 right now. Has been for a while, even since before the beginning of CS2. And whoever gets him, whoever gets him is the team that's going to be the best one. The day I tweeted about.
Does that include if G2 retains him? If G2 keeps him, will they be number one as well?
No.
He has to move to a different team.
He has to move to a different team, or some things needs to change in G2.
By the way, are you implying that it really is a rumor that maybe he will get sold? Is there rumblers behind the scene he might leave?
The thing is, like, he wanted to go to C9, and everybody knows that. He wanted to go to C9, and then the deal didn't happen. I don't know why. And then you remember that GM was like talking about he's not for sale, whatever. And I think that's the dumbest thing you can say, that somebody is not for sale. And I even tweeted today about like him going to C9 is pretty obvious, and it would be like the proper move to happen for C9. And especially for Monesi as a individual, because he's going to get to speak his native language rather than English, which will improve his performance by at least 5-10%. Sure. Because he doesn't have to think on English. It will improve Cloud9's performance by 30% because they don't have an AWPer at all. They can get rid of Exile, they can get rid of Hobby, they can pick and choose who they want to replace him with. But if they get him, they will be the number one. Whoever else gets him, FaZe can get him too. He's still going to make them the number one team in the world instead of Brokey. Anybody can get him. It will, improve their team, right? Obviously, he cannot go to Vitality because of Zaivu or teams like that. But right now, saying that he is not on sale is something unbelievably dumb that you can say. I mean, what are you going to do? If he decides that I'm not going to play for you anymore, I want you to sell me, I'm not going to practice anymore. You think those things don't happen in football? Players don't show up for practice when they want to be sold? They just say to their agent, I want to be sold, make it happen, right? And teams cannot force you. Like, you can bench yourself, which is a normal thing in today's sports.
If people are missing, I know what you mean, Kassad. The point you're making is this. Obviously, G2 just publicly like, he's not for sale. But what they obviously, what you mean is this. It's not for sale at that price. That's the point Kassad's making. If someone offers you enough, you have to take it, by the way. Like, the obvious example, I've told this one before, Kassad, is obviously my favourite team, Liverpool, is almost certainly going to lose Mohamed Salah to the Saudi League next year, right? Yeah. Here's the thing. As long as they pay like £200 million, I'm okay with it, Kassad, because guess what? We could do a lot with £200 million. So the point is, I agree with you. Everyone's for sale. The question is, do you have enough money? It might be an insanely high buyout, but everyone's for sale, right?
Yeah, the thing is, like, you come up and see, like, your contract is up until what? End of 2025? Let's see your salary. Let's see how much, how many months, what is your current market value. Offer the right price. You think the board of G2 will say no?
I don't think so, personally,
because
especially not in the current crisis.
The GM says, like, oh, he's not for sale. Yeah, don't be stupid, right? Well, on the top of the things, he can just, like I said, he can refuse to play.
He can just demand to leave, yes.
He can just refuse to play. Obviously, I don't know. Some contracts states that if you bench yourself, you get zero salary, right? Some contracts don't have that thing. We have in our team a clause that if you decide to bench yourself and use this, exploit this, you get 0% money, like 0% salary. Okay. Nothing. You get nothing. Right? If we bench you, you get a certain percentage. Right. Like, it's a pretty standard deal, right? But to avoid this, but he can also do it, right? So what is G2 gonna do? Like, are they gonna what? Just gonna say like, okay, sit on the bench, rot there because you're 18 years old? Nothing gonna matter to him. He's gonna play FPL. He's gonna stream. He's gonna do whatever. He's gonna wait out the contract, run out the clock, get a signing bonus of $500,000 from somebody smart, and G2 will be left with nothing. So those statements like he's not for sale are for people who have zero brain cells left in their stupid little heads.
By the way, as a quick aside before I ask Maui, I will just say, if you are someone like the Saudis who wants to invest in esports and buy like a big CS team, you don't understand how much you will get the player you want if instead of paying more for the buyout, wait until there's a bidding war that's close and just tell the player you get 50k signing bonus. I'm not joking. You will get the player you want. Like, you don't know how much that would win them over. As long as the odds cool, they're going to pick you, Duncan, I tell you.
If I am a shitty agent not shitty, just weasel, whatever. Doesn't have to be shitty. Maybe that's the wrong word. We have a weasel agent, and like I go, listen, wait up your contract. I'm gonna discuss with this team. They're gonna give you 200K signing bonus.
Yes.
If you wait it out, because the price of your buyout will drop by $500 million, and they will end up earning 300,000 instead of paying 500,000.
Yes.
Right? That's how it should work. But G2, they don't understand this. They just, he's not for sale. Yeah, sure. Everybody is for sale, right? On the right price in these fucking esports.
Yes.
And like you said, if the Saudis, who have unlimited, I'll tell you this, they have unlimited money, come up with a price that G2 board has to be presented with, they're just gonna say yes. They're just gonna say, no, our GM said like we're not selling it for $2 million, right? So we're gonna listen to our GM. We're gonna refuse $2 million. Yeah, sure, that will happen.
Right, Maui, obviously the original point was, assuming he gets sold, whatever team he goes to, and obviously he did set the content, it can't be, we're assuming he's not getting sold to a bomb team, he's getting sold to a contender potentially, they will be number one. What do you think?
Well, I think that the points made with the idea that it's going to be one of several teams, so that those teams being FaZe, even Na'Vi, interestingly enough, would be kind of one to me. Like,
no, but Falcons,
okay.
For example.
Okay, Falcons. I feel like Falcons have too many problems right now for me to think they're going to be number one. But Cloud9 is a really fun one because, I mean, the point I was making forever about Cloud9 and Nafany and how I literally said the main point I made like 2 years ago about Cloud9 was give me Boomich for Nafany, and you almost have that exact switch. But then, hey, you give me m0NESY instead of Shiro. That's not really too much of a downgrade for me. Actually, I think it's an upgrade. I think m0NESY's better than Shiro. So I feel like that would be a super interesting team. If you're talking about just FaZe and Cloud9, yeah, I think they actually can elevate themselves to number one in the world, because I just feel like, well, FaZe is right there knocking at the door already of being number one in the world, and Cloud9, God, I mean, it's a little bit more speculation, but I don't think Falcons though. I don't think if they got m0NESY just for Senpais.
Let's have this weird scenario, Maui. We have like James leaves VP and he joins Cloud9 to be the IGL there, and then there is a spot in some weird scenario where m0NESY can join VP and they can get an IGL as well instead of Mir. You know, like that's a possibility that would make VP better 10 times as well. Like, and he would get to speak Russian again, like which will improve. He's right now one of the best players, one of the superstars of the game, and probably top 3 player right now. And he speaks English, right? And if he goes there, he's going to improve himself a lot. And this guy is not going. He is the next face of the game. Right now we had Zybus, Deco, a simple device faces of the game. m0NESY is going to be the next face of this game that we play right now. Sorry that I cut you off.
Well, hey, I'm not doubting the fact that m0NESY might just be the next best player. He might even be the number one player of 2024, but I just don't know if, like, I'm just thinking like which constellation would I really imagine being number one in the world, and a FaZe or a Cloud9 move, yes. Other teams I'm a bit more hesitant on.
I would just say, look, it's obviously not my take, so I don't need to have this as my hot take, but I actually think it's a good one in the sense that, like, first of all, not just because he was like a top 4 player or whatever on HLTV. If you were picking players to draft today to build your team to win this year, he would absolutely be within my first 3 or 4 picks. It's obvious that he's just so fucking good. And I also think, actually, the angle that kassad's put in there is quite another good one, which is, I also do think it does seem obvious that if he went to a team that spoke Russian, it would probably level his game up and make it more comfy. And if he's this good on a team that speaks English and is all multinational, I could actually see him being even better. I think he already is really fucking good. So I think it's a good take. It's a good prediction. We'll see if it happens. Right. Do you want to go, Maui? Do you have a hot take for us?
Sure. Yeah, we were kind of touching on it earlier. I wanted to say it as we were going over old predictions, but to me, in terms of how competitive these teams are, I would say that this is the worst that the Brazilian scene has been since pre-LGSK, pre-2015. I mean, to me, Furia, sure, on the HLTV rankings, they're a top 10 team, but in my eyes, they're absolutely not a top 10 team. In terms of the quality of Counter-Strike I saw so far at Katowice, it was some of the worst by far. Watching them play against Apex, for example, and even the way they lost to Mongols was pretty bad too. So I think that, and when you look at it, and I like, the thing is that with the Brazilian scene, what's always been kind of interesting since 2015-16 is that, like, when SK was kind of becoming better, or whether it was MIBR, there was kind of that Immortals team behind them too, which obviously made the grand finals of the 2017 Krakow Major. There's really no secondary team right now for me. Like, sure, like on the rankings, it's MIBR. I'm not seeing MIBR play anything. I don't think they're even, like, in terms of even like just domestically, they're doing all right for sure. but it's just that they're not actually accomplishing anything at all in the world stage. And Furia themselves are in such a tattered, battered state that like we're still just talking about the fact that to go back to kassad's take, like if kassad doesn't go to Liquid, it's gonna be career suicide. I think of that one where it was so ridiculous at the time, but it's like, I mean, that might just be true. And I think that there's a lot of things that led up to this one, which I know kassad maybe wanted to talk about on his take, but I'm just bringing it up for mine too. It's just that, like, the buyouts in the Brazilian scene are just so exorbitant that I think it's really ruined putting together the best 5-man lineup that region has to offer. Like, Lukowski being like $330,000 for a Fluxo team that all they ever did was qualify for a single major one time. Skulls with a $600,000 buyout, and it's like, dude, he's not Monacy, man. He's not even half of Monacy. I would say he's not even a third of Monacy. Fallen with the 700K you were talking about. Like, this is just so ridiculous that their whole scene is just broken because they can't find the right 5-man team that they want. And it's just like people are just locked into these unreal deals too. Like the fact that everybody on Furia back in the day, which I think is maybe just expiring this year, is the 5-year contracts that they were on before. It's like it seems like the Brazilian scene has like the most predatory contracts of any region in the space. And what really sucks is that it's not really the people that are suffering the most are the players and us as people that want to watch competitive Counter-Strike. Like, we're just have to watch this lineup of Brazilian players where it's like Art's clearly not the best in-game leader in Brazil anymore. Fallen is clearly not the best opper in Brazil anymore. I don't even know if Yuri is a top 3 rifler in Brazil anymore. kassad definitely is, but I think that right now, if I were to pick a couple other players, you know, I would probably give someone like Zevi a chance. I'd give Big Uzera a chance. I would give people Skulls maybe could have been one of the players that would have been on a winning Furia team, but we'll never really know. And it's clear to me, it's clearly not Cello either. Like, Cello shouldn't be on this team either. Like, Cello's not an anchor. Why the hell is he playing this spot? It's so stupid. That's why Furia is just so broken to me when I watch this team, and it's just because this is what they could get. They had to get this assortment of players. I still don't know how Cello got on this roster, if I'm being completely honest. But it's just such a busted scene now because they followed what seemed to be like, and you guys can correct me on this, whether it was like the football model they had or something about buyouts and contracts and everything like that, that was just so predatory that now we're watching a scene that's just in ruins. Like, there's nothing I want to see about any Brazilian team or South American team anymore.
The joke is,
change the teams.
What you're referring to, Maui, is basically the problem is, as far as I know, the problem that happened in football was the other way around. Because the Brazilian teams were incredibly tiny compared to anyone European, it was famously the case that, like, all those great players the joke was they all went to the Dutch league initially. You remember, like Romario, Ronaldo, they would come to Europe and then they would eventually go there. But the point is, back in the day, because they'd have had a tiny contract at their Brazilian club, obviously you might get them for no buyout or you might get them incredibly cheap. So what they did was, at the time, as far as I know, they made it so that, like, domestically, you made the buyout high so that when someone did come to, like, farm these players, the original club got something. But the problem in CS is it feels like it's gone the other way, and now you just let the Brazilian team be predatory because now they lock you in a 5-year contract and put you pay. And here's why it's predatory, guys. It's not that they lock you in a contract, but it's an awesome contract. They put you on a contract and then they put your buyout at like 600K, but then your salary's like 10K a month. Like, that's the part that's way off. It's like you've protected everything yourself while not giving something to the players. So yeah, unfortunately, whatever's gone on with that the way it's impacted CS is terrible. Like, it's just trapping players in shit teams, basically. Because the problem I've always had goes like this. You hear the stories like you're saying, Maui, if someone's on like the 4th best Brazilian team, but they have a 300K buyout. Okay, so then I go, I don't want to buy him out. So then no one buys him out. So no one ever even gets any money. That's the silliest thing to me. It's not like then a different guy and I wait 3 months or so on. But no, he just never gets bought out. Like I say, it's just predatory to keep you in their org. So what do you think? If you want, kassad, we can spin it into whatever your take was about buyouts or the Brazilian scene. What was yours? Do you want to spin into that?
Yeah, I mean, I want to answer Maui's take because it's valid right now. And there is so many things to say because there is so many wrong things happening right now, especially in the Brazilian team. Everything started with the potential buyout of kassad and Yuri to SK or whatever the team, MIBR, for 200K. They didn't want to pay it. And even back then, that was a lot of money, right? The problem for Brazilian scene is the fact that they don't have a man in charge. Like Fallen, for example, he needs to stop playing. That's one thing. He needs to give up the mouse and start using his influence that he has to create, Brazilian best team that can possibly be. He has so much.
As in, like, him be the general manager or something.
Yeah, just a CEO. He can be the CEO, right?
Okay.
He can form that. The guy has an unbelievable, huge army of fans that will follow him everywhere.
Sure.
That is for sure. He has the influence in all these companies. He has the brand that's so big he can go down to Saudi Arabia, Dubai, whatever. He can make a deal and get millions of dollars because of the brand that he has right now. And he has, and that's not going to last forever, right? Because it's going to drop down in time. He is right now at the end of his possibilities that he can do this. He can take charge of that, and he can deal with this and create the best possible team in the actual Brazilian scene, because he has the knowledge. The problem, he doesn't have the personality, that he doesn't have the voice to do it, because he's that type of person, right? But that's what they need right now. The buyouts right now are ridiculous. Insani is 600k. Fallen was 700k. Who else was like 600k for Skulls or whatever the fuck? That is ridiculous, right? How do you sign those contracts for 4 or 5 years? If you're going to sign that, then you need to ask the organization, like, if you're a player, like, listen, if I have 4K salary, 5K salary, and a 4-year contract, my buyout cannot be 600K. Then if you want my buyout to be 600K, you need to guarantee me 70% of my contract to be, guaranteed money. So unless you want to sell me or bench me in a year from now, you still get to pay me 70% of the total value of the contract, because my salary is so low. Otherwise, put my buyout at 600K, but give me 25K or 20K or 18K salary, right? It needs to, but nobody speaks for these players. That's the problem. They have no voice. They have no support from the players' union, right, at all. Like, players' union is doing nothing for years, and that needs to be one of the issue when it comes to buyouts, that players' union, they need to have their legal isolated council that's going to be representing the body that's called players union, in helping players deal with this contractual predatory shit that they're being dealing with. Because orgs, they don't care. Like, they don't care that much. And they're not, the Brazilian contracts are not even the worst. The CIS are the worst by far. And then comes Brazilian, right? I've seen so many contracts and details in the last 2 months, and I cannot stress enough how the shit situation is right now. Which brings me to my next. Maybe it's your turn to.
Here's the thing: if yours segues from that, I'll do mine after. To do your, if it connects to that point, do yours now.
It connects in some way. Basically, I wanted to say how Falcons entering the scene at this moment, and these like ridiculous buyouts completely destabilize the market value of everything, and the prices and the buyouts, and completely everything regarding finances in the CS in the last few months. Let's start with some ridiculous buyouts that happened in the last month and a half. We had obviously Falcons coming in with the millions from the Saudis. They spent $1 million of buying some Pius. I don't know how much they spent for Snappy. Madden was free. Then I can remember who else. Boros was there, obviously, and then I don't know who else they have. Magisk. I don't know. I don't know how much they paid.
No one
for
knows
him.
that one. Yeah,
but it was a high price. But let's say they paid $1 million for some Pius. That's already ridiculously high.
Yes.
Then we have Heroic, who got the money from Astralis. That's $1.9 million for Yabi and stuff. That is absolutely, completely ridiculous and over the price.
Yep.
Then the average salary, by the way, before I go back to Heroic, the average salary in Falcons is $38,000. Now, does that seem right to you at this point? That's completely destabilized the fucking market right now, and players are asking for too much. They cannot get cannot pay that much simply because they don't have that money, right? And players are asking for it. $38,000 for average salary in the Falcons team. Let's go to Heroic. They got $2 million. They sold Stab and Yabi, right? So, and they got Kixon for $500,000. That's the payout at least minimum. That was the minimum price for the guy's good IGL.
Sure.
It's mad they paid $500,000 for that guy. On top of that, who else did they get? They got
Nerds.
Nerds, who was $500,000 as well. That's $1 million there, right? So who else? They Stavn and Tessus, and they bought Nikodos from Prisi for some ridiculous money. But their salaries and their minimum of 30K on average. Like, does that seem very stable to you and something that can last for a long time?
By the way, that one's even madder for Heroic, because they were the one, if you remember, not that long before that, were like, we need a cash injection. And then it came out of nowhere. And that's why, if you don't know, it connects to a story that people imply like there might be some dodgy thing with who gave them the money or the ownership and stuff. Because the joke was they were implying they couldn't even operate. And then suddenly they're buying people. And I remember they were trying to buy some pies. They were trying to buy all these millions of dollars. So yeah, you're right. It's crazy.
One more thing. There is like also this lesser, like lower tier organizations that are asking for ridiculous money for the players. I'm gonna give you an example of K. We inquired about K from 9 because he wasn't the one got sold to Ents for whatever the reason was. The answer was like his buyout is 240,000 euros. Like for what? Like my main point is like right now the market is completely destabilized by these millions entering the in between the teams, and it will massively drop after the RMR/Major because all these players will lose their value, their overvalue right now, and the price will go down. I'm gonna reveal a little bit of a thing here. When I inquired about Jacob in Apex, the response that I got was like, you might not wanna like, you're not gonna like this, but we are asking for $1.2 million for him. The explanation was like he is an integral part, and if without him we won't play the RMR, so we estimated his value at $1.2 million.
It's like a Forbes evaluation for TSM.
Does that make fucking sense to any of you there, like who are watching this? When I say the thing in CS is fucked, the managements are fucked. The player, there is no player council. There is no fucking order in anything that we do now, and it will all go to shit if we don't get our things together, right? Because people are out there saying, kassad knows shit. I've been in this thing for 2 months now. I have seen what people have written. Obviously, I can't reveal everything, but the things that I could reveal, I did. Because I had to respect the privacy of certain things and like the certain contracts and all these things. But the thing is like, it's so fucked now. It's so destabilized that I expect a massive drop in value, players' market value after the RMR, and that is the time where you need to go shopping.
I also think, by the way, that's actually quite a deluded one from Apex specifically, because here's how I think they're evaluating that number. Because as everyone heard, the Blast Paris Major was the major where you got fucking ridiculous money if you were in the good capsule, right? Like you saw, people were getting millions of dollars per team. So their logic, since that was the major they did the run at, would be like, well, if we need Jacob so we can get the next stickers. But here's what they're not thinking about. If they don't get to that major and they don't get those stickers, they are now morons for not selling him for what they could have sold him for. Like they could have made like, put it this way, if you're asking for $1 million, you could maybe then get like another 600K for this player. Like in that world, it's worth selling, mate. You could do so much with that. Whereas like Jacob isn't simple, mate. Like it's not like a lock that you make the major because you have this guy. And by the way, in general, to kassad's point, the only players who should be 7 figures are literally the ones that are like an auto qualify, like Simple, Zewu, unless you're that Munacy, unless you're that Rops, unless you're that very, very limited. You shouldn't. I think even the borderline ones. I think people like Shiro's, like that one, that should maybe be $1 million. No, that was like, even then you're getting a bit dodgy because they're not as much of a lock. They just aren't. Right, this leads into one of mine.
Give me a second just to put it in perspective. Like these buyouts, let's say Kixan, Nerds, Sampayas, all these players right now, their buyouts are so ridiculous. My whole team is not what half is for Sampayas, like close. My whole team value with salaries and everything for the whole year is not even that much. And they paid $1 million for its Sampayas. I'm not saying he's a bad opper. He's not a bad opper.
We're just talking about relative value. Yeah.
We're just talking about like value of the market value of the player right now. Like, what did you gain by getting that? Like, you're gambling that you're gonna qualify for the major and maybe get some sticker money, and then what? But if it doesn't work, for example, with Apex, if it doesn't work, you lost money. You lost a lot of money. You took a massive gamble. Like, it just makes no sense to me right now. Like I said, it's about to go to shit if things that don't correct.
By the way, Maui, what do you think about the buyout situation?
It doesn't seem like people are just working right now in like the framework right now is so busted because of what happened with the Paris majors and how much the sticker money actually netted them, because there's no saying that the Copenhagen major is going to net you the same amount, and also there's no saying that having Jacob on your roster is going to even give you like. So I didn't see actually the exact amount like a team like Apex would have gotten to qualify for that with the sticker money, but let's just say it's $3 million for sticker money. Why then is Jacob worth 1.2 million when he's not giving you that percentage, like 1.2 million out of 3 million? I don't think Jacob is giving you that percentage chance himself to make it to the major. So I think that's just flawed.
But that's not even 3 million. That's 3 million split in half.
Yeah, exactly.
1.5 million. Because the players are going to get half of it and the org is going to get half of it.
Yeah, so I don't understand how that even makes sense. I feel like Jacob's buyout should be much less than. And yeah, when you're saying that the Falcons buyouts and numbers there are just destabilizing everything, I was hoping we were going to get away from this stuff because I felt like the NA injection of money was a big reason that these buyouts got really out of hand in like the late 2010s, but now it's just back again, but it's coming from a different source.
By the way, this actually ties into one of my active hot takes, which is starting to look better and better now that this Falcons lineup exists, guys. Remember that take I had that, like, I think it was at the end of 2024, I said that, like, out of the top 10, something like half the orgs would be like Saudi, or was it the top 5, like 3 would be or something? Whatever that was, the reason why that's a banger take, by the way, that gets better by the day, it's because think about what you just talked about, Maui. Right now in esports, outside of CS, people aren't spending money. In League, everyone's doing budget rosters. They're even firing staff from all these So the point is, the only people, as Kassad said, who have the unlimited money tap that they can turn on is the Saudis. So think about what happens in an arms race when one side ups the ante and buys more arms. You have to match them in the arms race. So inevitably, if everyone, because of teams like Falcons, has to put the buyouts to this level, you'll have to be bought out by the Saudis so you can keep buying in the scene and buy the next players and buy the next competitive guy. Because when you want your next player, he'll be 1.2 million as well when you don't have the star ARPA. So the problem is eventually it's actually inevitable if you keep going in this spiral upwards that everyone will have to be owned by these teams with essentially football style unlimited budgets so they can all actually battle each other. So it's not a great one. Right, here we go. I'm going to start out. I like to start fucking blazing when I start my years. So here's my take. This would be edgy if I did either side on its own, but I'm going to take two different hot takes, fuse them together into an otherworldly hot take. And then on top of it, not only is it specific to these teams, but when you look at the bigger picture, it's so contrarian, it's insane. So are you ready for the hot take? Are you ready? Listen to the whole sentence before you react. Team Liquid will win a CS2 Major, but Astralis never will. Yes! It's bad enough if I just said Team Liquid would win a major, mate. I'm having them win it.
It's over? Did you finish the sentence?
It's over. It's over.
Yeah, it's over.
Hit me with it. Come on.
Are you serious? Are you fucking serious?
I don't mean these lineups just ever in CS2. Team Liquid will win a major. Astralis never will.
So you are just like protecting yourself with a 10-year clause, right? So you can say like 6 years from now when we revisit this, you're going to say like, it's still being played. You never know. Like, give me a timeline, Duncan. Don't be that guy. Don't be Maui.
Oh, yeah.
I thought you were a man about
Here's the thing. Fair enough, I will say it. No, because here's the problem with that, though, Kassad. I agree with you. To evaluate it, we need the time limit. But technically, it makes it harder for me. If there's 20 majors, Astralis can never win one. But if you want, I'll make it a limitation. All right, what about this? Within the next 3 years, no Astralis major and Team Liquid
I was going to give you a better offer. I was going to give you a better offer, give you like more time. I'd say like 10 CS2 majors.
10 majors? We can do that if you want. We can do that.
I mean, that's very generous from me because I'm a fair guy. Always will be. You know, that's how it goes. Okay. But the thing is, 10 majors.
Yeah.
And you think Liquid is going to win one of them?
Because here's why. Liquid, as they've shown with this first lineup, they look like they have ambition again, mate. I can tell you Zeus is a very ambitious coach. He doesn't just want like budget play. He wants to win the major. That's his goal. Meanwhile, I think already you've seen with this Astralis team, look, it has potential. But mate, they have, ever since they broke the original lineup of Astralis up, name one lineup they ever had where every player fit the roles and was good. There hasn't been one. Ever. I don't think even this one works yet. It's got mega players, but they haven't nailed it yet. So I think, you're essentially putting your faith in the orc here, mate. I know Liquid didn't do it in CSGO, but I think Astralis is going to be a train wreck. I think this team could be good, but I think the dark horses. I don't know why you're going to get the number one team out of a Danish team in fucking CS2, but if you disagree, you disagree. Come on.
I disagree because you said like, your argument was like, because Zeus is ambitious and they're ambitious. I'm ambitious too. I want to have a 9-inch cock, but it's never going to happen.
Yeah, but that analogy doesn't work. First of all,
not going to happen.
Zeus already signed a lineup that could win the major. What are you talking about? Yeah.
What do you mean this?
This lineup can't win the major. It's impossible.
You are impossible.
I think this lineup could win the major. I'll tell you right now. That doesn't mean they're number one. If I had to pick right now, gun to my head, I'm listing how many teams could win the major. This would easily be top 5.
Hey, you say Liquid is one of them?
Yeah.
You lost your mind. You're worse than Maui.
All right, tell you what. Here's what you'll do. Give me 5 teams that would win the major ahead of this Liquid team.
You want me to just go
Yeah,
like
just
through
do it.
rankings? Vitality,
Yeah, Vitality is 1.
Pace,
2.
BP.
VP. Already that's sus as fuck that you've got. Maui's bad enough when he's in the
lost
You're having to
they
win in a
lost in the
major,
play-in.
bro. But okay, but VP. I need 2 more. After VP.
Okay, let's see who else.
You
Cloud9.
I double fucking dare you to say G2 cocksucker. Go on, say
I'm
it.
not gonna
Yeah,
fuck-
exactly. Yeah, you're not. So first of all, I've already
never
trapped you
gonna
on that
fucking
one.
say G2 ever again. But the thing is, like, that VP can and Navi can beat
Okay.
before Liquid. Who can beat before Liquid? That's the real question.
Okay.
Like, do you think that Falcons can win before Liquid?
Listen, I have Liquid winning, so don't worry about me. Ask Maui. He's the one who has to win. Where are you going on this, Maui? Are you? Is it as bad as Kassad says? Where are you going on this one? Listen, it's a mega spicy take. So
I think that this 5-man lineup for Astralis is definitely better than this 5-man lineup for Liquid. That being said, I think that this 5-man lineup for Liquid is probably closer if they make one change, because I trust KD more as an in-game leader than Blame F based off of what I've seen so far in the history. So I think that like with Liquid, like the overall take, I'll just zoom out and do the overall take here. I do think that Astralis right now, this 5-man, I just don't think it's getting better for Astralis, but I do think it could get better for Liquid. And that's kind of me judging the org as a whole, like where things have gone for them, where they're like willing to spend. Whereas Astralis, for whatever reason, this to me seems like they're one huge, massive move, but everything in the history of this org for me is kind of like, I mean, this fell in their lap and they had to do it, but everything else has just been kind of like happenstance, like including this move. Whereas Liquid is the type of org that actually does go out, does seek to try to win majors, does try to like put things together, and they will make moves if they don't think things are going well. But Astralis, I've seen them multiple times now.
By the
where they
way,
just kept the lineup
to your
way too long
point,
than they should have.
you could actually argue the only reason they even have this super team is because of the shenanigans of fucking Stabby. That's it.
Yes.
They didn't even
exactly.
choose it. It's just
They
whatever
had
the
to
fuck
pay
happened
for
there.
it.
True.
They had to pay
True.
2 million. Like, it's not just
True.
They did. Yeah, but it didn't seem like they had like the eye to make a team that was gonna actually put itself forward to be competitive. But at Liquid, actually, like for me, I just think they need to maybe do a couple things. I think one is really think about if this Skulls move is the right guy for them right now.
It's funny that
yeah.
you grab on the worst name that you can possibly grab. Like, no. The thing is, like this. I had a hot take that will kind of
okay
compliments Duncan,
Go on, do
right?
it.
Because I will let's say it like this: if Liquid with this lineup goes to top 5, I will automatically agree with you on this take. With you that they're gonna win a major. But if they don't, that's not going to happen.
Okay.
The thing is, like, my hot take is that this Liquid lineup is a ticking bomb that is waiting to explode in any moment. And I'll tell you why. You said Zeus is ambitious. Yeah, okay. I can see that because the guy won 2 majors. The guy has opinions. The guy is not afraid to, try to do his own thing, and he knows what he wants, right? But the problem is everyone else we go in that team. We know that Aleksandar and his personality and his attitude towards the game and towards like this the social media spotlight and all these things. Kadian is the same as him. Then you have Twist, who is never gonna say something, never gonna be quiet, but he's gonna say things. He's gonna be vocal about things and issues.
Oh, you think there's going to be conflict within the team?
There is gonna be so many egos fighting for like the voice there that is gonna become unbearable to play there for certain people, right? You have Nav. I know Nav. I know he's as a type of person who's not going to complain, but you're going to see him unhappy. When he's unhappy, he's a bad player. He's a bad teammate. You don't want to be around him when he's unhappy with the team. He's just going to sit there and passively really annoy you and drain your life out of you because he's unhappy with what's happening. But he's never going to go out and say, like, listen, you can't really fucking do this anymore. It bothers me. He's not that person. He's too nice. But you're going to feel like this coming out of him because it's stronger than him. Then you have, obviously, Kadian, who has a massive personality there. Massive personality. And things he built, he probably, wants to introduce many of these things in the new team. Aleksandar, we already said that he has a massive personality. Skulls is just a piece there that's going to be fitting wherever the gap is. They're going to disregard what he needs, pretty much because the other guys have the priority to do whatever they want to do, and he's going to be failing because of that. Not because he's a bad player, but because I think he's a good player. And who is the 5th guy? Who did I forget?
Skulls.
Sorry?
Skulls.
No, that I was talking
Yeah.
about him. I was maybe I was talking about Twist, right? And there is, like I said, there is too many. There is too many personalities and egos. I'm not saying bad egos; they're just shit people. They're just too different, and they are too strong personalities right now. And I don't think you can easily. This is not Real Madrid. Liquid, as good as the org is, it is. They have the championship culture and the mentality. They're not fucking Real Madrid. They're not Liverpool. They don't have that type of organization that can deal with these kind of situations, because we saw it in the past. They had like different, less personalities, and they still imploded with Patsy and Aleksandar and Reinwaker, the previous line, or whatever the fuck it was.
Sure.
So I think this team is a ticking bomb, and unless they do something crazy good on this major, because they're probably going to qualify, I don't think anybody else can besides them and Fury and Complexity, and do something crazy like a playoffs on the major, there's going to be changes, and there's going to be 1 or 2 changes coming in. And the only guy who is going to be changed, I think, is going to be Skulls and maybe Aleksandar, because they're probably going to be, we can't do this anymore. We have to ship him back to Europe.
Here's the thing. Luckily for me, I have 10 majors, so it's all good. Like I said, I don't have to have this 5-man lineup make it. I can have any within 10. Also, I'll just say this. That's where Zeus will be this panacea that cures all ills, kassad. Because what he'll do is he'll go up to fucking Twists and he'll go, it's all right, Twists. Brokey's not here. He hasn't died yet. You don't have to go into a site on your own. It's all right. Rops isn't behind you. You can choose when you want to lurk, mate. Twist will be like, oh, phew, I can breathe finally. Oh, I can be myself again. Then he'll go up to fucking Aleksandar and he'll go, Aleksandar, I think you're actually, don't tell the others, I think you're actually really fucking smart. You should be the IGL. But you know what? Here's what. The others can't handle it. They're big egos. So what we're going to do is this. You're just going to tell me all your brilliant IGL ideas. But don't tell the others, because they don't understand you, Ricardo. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take them all on board. And don't worry, I'll definitely get Cadian to integrate them all. But just only tell me though, okay? It'll be like a special thing between us. And then he'll go up to Cadian and he'll go, Cadian, listen. I know there's no fans here. I know there's no chanting in the crowd. I know there's no flags. But you're enough. You're a great IGL, and that's enough. And in that moment, Cadian will realise it's not about being an attention whore. Shit, I should have actually been trying to win the major all along. Fuck. Bloody hell. Oh, that's what... And suddenly, it'll all be fixed. Basically, Zeus will be like Robin Williams' character in Good Will Hunting. And he'll be like, Aleksandar, it wasn't your fault. It wasn't your fault. He'll be like, you finally made the break. And then we'll win the major. So that basically, there you go. Animate that. Someone get like an animation, put all that in there. That's going to happen. And when they made the major, by the way, I definitely want that animation. We'll make ourselves on Last Nation. We'll make how Thorin told the story of how Zeus fixed all of Liquid and won the major. So there you
Let's
go.
make the animation as well when they change first 2 players in like 3 months from now.
As long as they win the major and 10 majors, it's all good with me, mate. It's all good. Right, I've got one last one. And this is what's good about this one is I've trapped you all on this one. You absolute... Congratulations, DJ Khaled. You just played yourself. Because what's great is I'm about to get my favourite thing in esports. My favourite thing in esports as an analyst, Maui, is when people stupidly pull so hard against transcendently great players and teams, I get to, for free, be the only one predicting an obvious thing will happen. So are you ready? Do you know there's a classic incident, which is when Astralis first won their first ever major, E-League Atlanta, they were actually the number 1 ranked team, if people don't know, before they won. But even though they were the number 1 ranked team, when I then predicted beforehand, after they lost E-League, that they would win the major, you can go look at the thread, mate. Every tweet is that I'm an imbecile. The whole Reddit thread is I've jinxed them. They're not even good. They're not going to win. But once they won, this is why I'm making this point, the second they won, every little rat just said, all you did is predict the number 1 team to win the major, even though they all said they wouldn't win. So are you ready? I'm going to do the same thing again, and it's a banger, because I've checkmated you all. You know, right now, every ZWoo fan knows as a certainty ZWoo will be number 1 every year from here on out. And what's more, because Simple wasn't as good, it was one of his worst years in ages, he wasn't that, so he'll never be number 1 again, will he, guys, right? Never, ever again. In fact, he doesn't even play CS2. In fact, he's never played CS2 in official LAN match. But are you ready? My prediction is simple. Assuming he actually comes back to play CS2, not this year, but at the end of 2025, because we've already begun this year, at the end of 2025, Simple will be the number 1 ranked player, even on I'm even trusting HLTV.org will be able to see it. He'll be number 1. Everybody is telling me, oh, I'm going to play the game. He's rushed. He'll never play that. He's going to come back, and when he comes back, he will be a demon at this game, I promise you. And when he comes back, he will, at the end of 2020, he'll be number 1. What do you think?
Well,
how the fuck did you trap us? I didn't get that.
Because every fan is going to say, No, he won't, you idiot. But then when it happens, kassad, they'll all go, oh, it's obvious, it's fucking simple. All you did is pick simple. But everyone would now tell me I'm wrong. That's why I'm picking now at the beginning of 2024. Because when I say it now, you're all going to say I'm wrong. And then when it happens, don't fucking say it was obvious because it wasn't. That's all I'm saying. I don't say I trapped you specifically. I mean the fans.
Yeah, okay, I get it.
I think
take this one, Mal?
I mean, my first point is just a little jab here at HLTV, where it's like you trust them to be right when
that's
in
the dodgy part.
They
true.
actually they put ZywOo as number one.
By the way, that will make it. To be fair, that will make it also funnier if like he is debatably number one, but then they pick ZywOo anyway. That'll just make it a funnier take. To be fair, okay.
Yeah.
That'll make it better.
I mean, I think that when Simple's focus and it is putting 100% of himself into the game, it's hard to argue that there's anybody better and is more willing to just take over the game too. And I feel like that's something that. Well, okay, I would say that if I had to just go out on a limb and say who my 2025 number one is, I might just pick like Monacy. I might just say Monacy's going to do it though.
Why not, right?
Yeah, so I don't. I mean, I would just go against it. I just feel like the deck is just a little too stacked against him, but I do think that if he does make a real return, I think a more like a lighter take that's more reasonable, which isn't what the show is about, is he'll be a top 10 player again. I think he'll be a top 10 player again. So I could agree on at least some.
By the way, I'll tell you what else is edgy about my take. When else in history has anyone ever gone from me number one to all the way down to what, number like 9, and then right back up to number fucking 1? That's never happened ever. No one's ever done anything close to that. So also, I am essentially predicting history will be changed by this guy. Where are you at on this one, kassad? You against it?
Absolutely against it. Like, I think I agree with Maui, which is a rare thing, because when he says there is too many people that can contend to that spot, right?
Yeah.
I do agree, because Simple missed a lot. Like, he missed, 4 or 5 months already in CS. He didn't play a single LAN match. He's not going to play it in the foreseeable future, at least. Not after the Major, which is another 2 months from now. And to think that he's going to be able to be back at number 1 at the end of 2025 is pretty crazy. I'll give you that it's a hot take. I'll give you that. But I think you're going to be taking a massive L at January 20th when we do this show again in 2026, right? And simply because I think there is too many young players coming up, and there's going to be a lot of things they need to kind of match for Simple to be back number 1. Can he go to top 10? Yeah, absolutely. He can go without playing for the next 6 months and then come back to be top 10 again, because that's who he is as a person and his skill is that. But number 1, that's a massive fucking thing when you have so many talents like ZywOo, Monacy, even this kid from Spirit, like Donk, right? He's unbelievable, right? And he's 18, 19, what the fuck is he? 17? Like, it's just, there is too many players right now that can contend for that spot in a year and a half from now, 2 years. That's Simple. I don't think he can also, he's going to be 27 there, 27, 28. So that is a matter of that. So I'm going to say no. And you're going to lose. So.
Yeah, but that's the thing. Maybe that's just the last great year of his life, and he goes out with a bang, like Kurt Cobain when he was 27 So,
yeah, nobody even remembers who.
I know it's still good
That's
reference, but whatever.
Yeah.
They don't have to know these. They don't have to know these kids. Basically, guys, it's like if Taylor Swift stopped making albums or something like that to the Zoomer generation. They go. Do we have one last take? Does everyone have one more?
I kind of did. Let me see.
Because I think one more could round the episode out. I made that one spicy. I made that one nice and spicy. By the way, if you're a hater, I'll even give you the joke. Just say, look what a Simple apologising does to a motherfucker. Just that's what you need to go with for that take. It's like, wait a minute, he apologised. It'll be the greatest player of all time. Like, it does look like that, but that's just coincidental, guys. That's just happenstance.
Coincidental, yeah, for sure.
Okay,
I'm sorry.
Come on. Hit me with it.
Sure. This one's kind of more like, it's just regular. It's just a more regular take. We've had a lot of industry takes, I feel like, so far. This is just simple. It's that for this season, aka until the player break, I think that the team with the Eastern European team that's going to have the most successful season will be Spirit. I don't think this is even that crazy. Okay. Maybe it is. Maybe it is crazy. Maybe people aren't seeing it just yet. But I think kassad, you're seeing it already with Donk and how good he is. I feel like the chemistry I've seen from the early days already at Katowice. Obviously, we couldn't judge them at the Blast Spring groups because they were using a couple stand-ins. But what I've seen from Spirit so far with their full 5-man lineup is exactly what I wanted to see from this team, where they decimate decimated Apex. They blew them out of the water completely, 13-0. And then they had a close map against Mongols, but the other map, they just blew them out of the water also. And it was the people that you would expect to be doing well. It's Donk, it's Shiro. The rest of the supporting cast behind them is still very solid too. And so, yeah, I feel like when I look at the other Eastern European teams on top of that, I just saw VP flounder in a game versus Cloud9, which was just crazy. Where they couldn't get like 9 or more rounds on either of the maps that they lost. I thought VP was going to be a lot more solid and stable, so that's super concerning for me. Other one, like Cloud9 themselves, they don't have an op. Like, I'm not even going to consider this team right now as taking it. I guess like Monty is kind of one of the more unknown teams, but I mean, going down the list right now, Spirit, they're ranked 14th in the world, and I don't see why in 4 months' time or whenever the season ends that they're not going to be the highest ranked.
All I'll say is this very briefly. I like where you're going. Obviously, the potential of Doc's great. Still has to do it. He's only had like the odd land. But what I'll say is this. I disagree because Na'Vi will be better. And they've got that Finnish guy and the guy from Lithuania. So Na'Vi will be the number 1 CIS team.
I said Eastern European. I said Eastern European very intentionally.
Oh, Eastern European. Okay, fair enough. Okay.
That's actually what we've been trying to say on broadcast, not to say CIS anymore.
Here's the problem with that one, though, is to me, like right now, obviously, no one can know how Cloud9 will be because they probably have to make a roster move. It's basically between them and VP's the question. I have to say, I'd probably just be conservative and say that VP will be better for now, but we'll see on that one. Where are you at on this, kassad? You buying into the hype? Is Spirit going to be the best Eastern European team?
No, I don't think they're going to be better than VP this season at all. I think, Donk Shiro combination is absolutely nuts. This, I mean, obviously, Donk is the most hyped and the best up and coming talents in ZywOo. And Monacy, I guess Monacy after, but
those are the two, for sure.
But the thing is, like, the guy's nuts. Like, what he does is like not something that not everyone can do. If an average player tries the play that he does, he's gonna die every time. He's gonna look like a potato, and that's gonna be bad for him. But Donk has the mechanics, the skill, the understanding, the hunger, everything, right? Going for him, I think he's in the right team right now. He doesn't need to be in like the tier 1 organizations or like super high rich teams. Right now, he's in a perfect space to develop himself into like there's like early days vitality, if you remember, right, with the French lineup where they had like a little bit of a weaker players like RPK and like 3 players who have been just delivering just enough for them to be really good, but like not a championship contender. But are they going to be better than VP? I don't know. I don't think so, because like I said, I've watched a lot of VP games. Nearly all of their CS2 games I have watched on every single map except for Overpass, I think. But the thing is, like, I think that they are just smarter when it comes to the CS than Spirit. Skill-wise, they can match them absolutely, but like in terms of in-game intelligence and all the shit around the server and on the map itself, that's not just fragging. BP is superior team there by far. Yes, it goes what I'm saying is goes against today's results because VP lost and they're not going to be in the main event. But let's judge them like Maui said. Let's say 3-4 months from today, once we revisit the whole topic and see where Spirit landed and VP landed. My prediction is VP is going to be the better Eastern European team than Spirit.